Hey, the situation is not good. If this goes on, we can't stop these runaway monsters. The monsters that can survive in these ruins are basically very powerful. Most of the hunters present are non-star hunters, and none of them are very strong. There are only a few one-star hunters who are strong enough. With more and more monsters, these hunters are gradually unable to hold on. Some monsters have already broken through the blockade of the hunters and rushed out of the plane. This made the hunters present restless. Have you contacted Hunter for a while? Tell the Hunter Association to contact Tektronics officials and let them send troops over. Already contacted. The Domian people have already contacted the King of Tech, and the army has been sent over there, but it is far away from here, and it may take several hours to arrive here. How many hours? By the time they arrive, the day lily will be cold. A grumpy hunter yelled angrily. Stop shouting. I heard that President Netero is rushing here. We will do our best. Is Chairman Netero coming too? Really? The president is coming too. Hearing that Netero, the president of the Hunter Association, was also coming, the hunters were extremely excited, and even their combat power was gradually increasing. Suddenly, the unstoppable trend of Warcraft was overwhelmed. Stopped. Hey, Menchi, that little friend of yours seems to have entered the ruins and hasn't come out yet. Aren't you worried? Bai Lu asked curiously while dealing with the monsters. Unlike others, Bai Lu's strength is still acceptable, and it is not very difficult to deal with a Warcraft. Chia. That guy doesn't need to worry at all. If he wants to run, the ruins can't stop him at all. He didn't show up, probably because of something. Hearing Bai Lu's words, Menchi was slightly taken aback, and then casually said with a wave of his hand. As for Chia, she wasn't worried at all. Chia is so fast that no one can stop her from leaving. Hey, are you so confident in that kid? Of course, Chia's speed is very fast. If you want to come out, you have already come out. Menchi nodded proudly. When the flat-chested Yuji heard the words, she couldn't help raising her eyebrows. Everyone, listen to me. My Nen can stop this wave of beasts, but I don't have enough Nen Chi. Please transfer Nen Chi to me. At this moment, the positive pot sounded softly on the battlefield. It was a middle-aged uncle with squinting eyes, and there was a purple cage in front of him at this moment. This cage tightly enveloped several monsters with different images. No matter how the monsters attacked, they couldn't break it. Seeing this scene, many hunters were very surprised. It was enough for them to deal with one monster, but this uncle could trap several powerful monsters in it with his own strength and could not break free. Everyone, as long as you give me enough thought energy, I can create a bigger one to surround the whole place. Seeing the eyes of everyone looking over, the middle-aged uncle said loudly again. Seeing the monster trapped in the cage by the middle-aged uncle, many hunters exchanged glances with their companions, and then issued their own powerful tricks to repel the opponent's monster, and came to the uncle's place as quickly as possible. Beside him, he put his hand on the uncle's body. Afterwards, one by one they touched their bodies, and a steady stream of thoughts poured into the middle-aged uncle's body. The huge thought energy suddenly entered the body, and the middle-aged uncle suddenly became very red all over, and his entire face was congested with blood. A terrifying aura bloomed on him, and then, a huge cage fanned out to the surroundings, blocking all the monsters in it. Even the animals were surrounded together, unable to take a step beyond. The Eudemon's hunter, who was playing the Requiem, also stopped the flute in his hand, and looked at the animals trapped in the cage with a flash of unbearable eyes. However, this unbearable feeling quickly disappeared. According to the current situation, this is indeed the best way. With the situation just now, if they continue, their line of defense will be breached by the monsters sooner or later. At this moment, the huge beast tide was finally stopped by the concerted efforts of many hunters. However, it is still unknown how long this line of defense can last. It can only depend on the amount of thought energy in these hunters. For this kind of large-scale cage, the amount of thought energy required is definitely not a small number. Behind the huge beast horde, raging fires dyed the entire earth red, and the sky was already pitch black and gloomy, completely covered by volcanic ash. This scene was like the end of the world. But when the hunters formed a defensive line to block the monsters, Chiya's figure shuttled quickly among the ruins. Every shuttle will take away one or two monsters. This situation is very rare for Chiya. Because of the volcanic eruption, many monsters came out from hiding places, running for their lives. They didn't need Chiya at all, but they searched slowly. Chiya only needs to move outside along the Sea of Flames to see a large number of monsters. It has to be said that without the intervention of Jin, a high-yielding sow, there are really many monsters in the Cocoa Ruins. Up to now, Chi-Ya has killed more than 100 of them. And these are just a drop in the bucket. More monsters have rushed out of the flames and rushed outside. Hey, Chi-Ya boy, it's almost done. We won't be able to get out of this sea of flames if we continue. Jin, who had been following Chi-Ya, persuaded. I said, High Yield Sao, why have you been following me? In this case, don't you run for your life first? Is it interesting to follow me? Hearing Jin's persuasion again, Chi-Ya couldn't help but stop, and asked helplessly. I am not afraid of the fire because I have elemental skills, but this guy is not. After running with me for so long in the raging fire, even with the defense of mind energy. At this time, he was already covered in sweat. If you keep going, you'll probably be dehydrated. As for Crook, this guy had already separated from the two of them and ran outside. I can't just leave you alone. Jin pouted and said. It is very rare for him Kim Free CSS to agree with a person. Since he agrees with a person, he will wholeheartedly treat him as a friend, a partner. Chi-Ya has been here and will not leave. He can't leave the prison Chi-Ya alone, right? Moreover, he still wants to draw Chi-Ya to form a team with him. Listening to Jin's words and seeing his sweaty appearance, Chi-Ya couldn't help being slightly touched. This guy really regards me as a companion. Immediately, Chi-Ya was a little confused. Jin, this guy, took it upon himself to treat himself as a companion. It's capricious. Chi-Ya couldn't help feeling a little headache. Others exude this level of kindness towards you, so you can't just turn a deaf ear to it. I know, let's go out first. Chi-Ya sighed and gave up the plan to continue killing monsters here. Well, go outside and fight. Looking at this level of beast tide, it is estimated that many monsters have already rushed out of the flames. That's right, let's go quickly. Jin grinned and said. The two jumped over the beast tide and rushed to be outside at an incredible speed. This situation is not good. Menchi, who was in the queue, looked at the uncle at the front and frowned tightly. The middle-aged uncle at the front was paler and his lips were trembling. A look as a sign of overuse of capacity. More than half an hour has passed since the beginning. Even with the blessings of Nian Qi from many Nen people, the body of the middle-aged uncle can't support the endless use of abilities. In addition, the thoughts of other people are not one's own after all, and many different thoughts enter the body continuously, and the body will definitely reject it. This middle-aged uncle should be close to the limit. Sure enough, when Menchi's thoughts came here, the middle-aged uncle at the front smiled wryly and said sorry to everyone. Sorry, everyone, I can't take it anymore. The next moment, before everyone could react, the purple cage that firmly held the demon beast in the animals collapsed completely at this moment, bursting open, and many hunters were thrown out under the impact. He fell heavily to the ground. At this moment, the beast tide surged out, rushing towards the direction beyond the plain, the continuous stream, and many hunters who fell on the ground could not react. Under the attack of the huge beast tide, they could only wrap their bodies with thoughts, passive defense up. However, the impact of this huge beast horde cannot be spared even if it is defended with Jian. Some Nen newcomers were directly carried away by this wave. However, some hunters who had made some small achievements reacted as soon as they fell to the ground, and quickly evaded. However, even so, the situation is not very good. The screams were directly covered by the huge trampling sound, as if water drops fell into the sea, making no waves. The entire hunter team suffered heavy losses at this moment. Even some hunters have begun to regret it. If they knew that it would become like this, they would definitely ignore it and leave here directly. It won't become what it is now, and throw your life here at any time. Damn it, it's not good to continue like this, you will be killed by this wave of beasts. Menchi, who looked embarrassed, was constantly dodging the monsters and animals rushing ahead, but no matter how fast Menchi was, it is also impossible to completely avoid all the impacts. From time to time, it would be impacted by animals or monsters. Although it was not knocked into the air, it suffered a lot of internal injuries under the impact of monsters and animals. If she continued, she was sure that she would be crushed to death, trampled, and smashed to pieces by this wave of beasts. As time went on, Menchi had begun to despair. Because, the thought energy in her body is almost exhausted. She probably only has one level of thought energy left now. At this moment, two voices suddenly sounded from Menchi's side. I'll go. There are so many monsters outside, I would have come out if I had known. You should have come out a long time ago, and I don't need to be heated like that inside. I feel like I'm definitely seriously dehydrated now. How are you going to compensate me? Menchi is very familiar with the first voice, but Menchi doesn't know the second voice at all. It's a very magnetic uncle's voice. Chi-Ya. After recognizing the first voice, Menchi shouted in surprise, turned and looked in the direction of the voice. I saw that Chi Ya appeared by his side at this time, holding his weapon, the kitchen knife, in his hand and throwing it there. Beside him is a slovenly uncle in trousers and a vest. Why is my knife with you? Menchi suddenly noticed the kitchen knife in Chi Ya's hand, and immediately felt his back, only to find that the knife he hadn't used was gone. Chi Ya unexpectedly took the knife from his lower back at some point. Hey, brat, don't you know that women's waists can't be touched? Menchi gave Chi Ya a hard look and said. Is now the time to worry about this? I used the space ability to borrow the space mark imprinted on Menchi's kitchen knife to save her. I thought Menchi would thank me, but I didn't expect Menchi to think of it at the first time. It turned out to be this. Chi Ya couldn't help being speechless. After taking it, the woman's brain circuit is too clear. It's so troublesome. I don't have that kind of large-scale attack with this level of beast horde, Jin said with a tangled expression on the side of his head. At this time, the Menchi group discovered that something was wrong. Because the area where the three of them are standing now has a radius of 10 meters, forming a vacuum circle. The impact of the monsters couldn't rush in at all, as if they were pushed away by some kind of force. And she found that the vacuum she was in was full of terrifying thoughts. This vacuum circle was opened by this terrifying thought energy. And the master of this thought energy is the sloppy uncle in front of him. Hey, Chi Ya, who is this? What a terrifying Neonki. Menchi asked Chi Ya cautiously. This guy's name is Jin Free CSS, he is a high-yielding sow, don't worry about it. Chi Ya waved his hand and said casually after hearing this. Jin on the side suddenly had several crossroads on his forehead. This guy actually called me a high-yield sow again, so annoying, I really want to beat him. However, forget it, it is important to solve the current situation first. But Chi Ya said so lightly. Menchi, who heard Jin's name, couldn't calm down and almost screamed. However, when the mouth opened wide, it touched the wound, and it hurt so much that it directly sucked in cold air. Stop talking about this, Chi Ya. Use your nen to heal me first. Menchi put his hand on Chi Ya's shoulder, begging Chi Ya. Oh, you still have nen for treatment? Jin asked unexpectedly. Hearing this, Chi Ya looked at Jin strangely. This guy didn't know what expression he would have when he saw the breath of the archangel. Thinking of this, Chi Ya began to use it on Menchi. Sure enough, Jin's expression was quite interesting. The mouth was opened so wide that it could almost stuff an apple. Where did your kid get this ability? After being surprised, Jin asked solemnly. Let's talk about this later, let's solve the situation here first. As agreed before, I will take action to solve the situation here, 200 billion, not 1 point less. After Menchi's injury was cured, Chi Ya did not explain, but confirmed to Jin. If you can solve it, I will offer you the 200 billion precepts respectfully. Jin Wenyan said with a smile without continuing to ask.
Oh, what you said, if you don't show respect, I'll settle the score with you as soon as possible. Chi Ya squinted her eyes and said.
I said so. Jin pouted and replied. Then, uncle, remember to behave more realistically later. Chi Ya grinned at Jin, showing a mouthful of white teeth. Afterwards, Chi Ya turned into a flash of lightning and rushed out of the vacuum circle.
This kid really has a way to deal with this beast tide, right? Seeing Chi Ya's reaction, the corners of Jin's eyes twitched slightly, and he muttered silently. Boom. The next moment, the dark plane was suddenly illuminated by a ray of light. Kim opened his mouth a second time. A faint blue lightning flashed across, and the animal tied under the impact stagnated for a moment, and then, dense branches of lightning spread out around Chi Ya. In just 2 minutes, all the monsters and animals on the entire battlefield fell to the ground one after another. Although they didn't die, they couldn't get up, and they fell on the ground and twitched non-stop. Of course, many hunters also got hit together, twitching constantly on the ground, with thunder and lightning on their bodies from time to time. Look, it's very convenient. Chi Ya turned and said to Jin with raised eyebrows. His face twitched slightly. It was as simple as that. Is this kid's lightning power so powerful? If it's just an ordinary animal, it's fine, even Warcraft and naughty ones have been electrocuted. Moreover, the scope covers such a wide range, this kid has a lot of energy. Range attack, this is Chi Ya's strong point. Chi Ya's thunder is most suitable for range attacks, and it is an excellent weapon for output in team battles. As long as the thunder is spread out, even if you can't seriously injure people, you can knock down the enemy and paralyze them, unable to move.
Then, High Yield Sao, present the 200 billion ring nuns to this young master respectfully. Chi Ya slowly came to Jin's front, raised her chin slightly, and said calmly. If you look carefully, you can see that there is a faint smile on the corner of Chi Ya's mouth at this moment. The corner of Jin's mouth twitched, feeling a little regretful in his heart. Although he recognized Chi Ya, but he really couldn't do it if he respectfully presented Chi Ya with 200 billion ordinances. He never thought that Chi Ya could solve this kind of situation. After all, this beast horde is a bit too big. Even he couldn't solve it. Although he is powerful, he does not have a large range of attacks. However, I didn't expect Chi Ya to be able to solve it. Although it only stunned the monsters and did not kill them, it was still resolved. But if you don't keep your promise, then the matter of wanting Chi Ya to form a team with you in the future will definitely be blown. Just when Jin was in a dilemma, Crook, who was separated from Chi Ya and Jin just now, came here at some point. Jin free CSS, you also have this day, you really deserve it. The arrogant Yuji who didn't know when she came here gloated at Jin's misfortune. Then, Crook looked at Chi Ya. Thanks, Chi Ya Zoldyck, I owe you a favor. If you need any help in the future, you can find me. This is my contact information. Crook said, pulling out a business card from his chest and handing it to Chi Ya. Seeing this, Chi Ya raised her eyebrows slightly, and after pondering for 2 seconds, she was about to reach out to take it. Sudden favors are not in vain. However, Chi Ya didn't succeed, because Menchi took the first step to take the business card from Crook's hand. I took over this contact information on behalf of Chi Ya. Menchi stood between the two and said to Crook with squinted eyes. Seeing this, Crook frowned slightly, and after giving the two meaningful glances, Crook said to Chi Ya. Hee hee, boy, your luck is really good, you have already been targeted by someone for such a small urine, be careful of being eaten young grass. As soon as these words came out, Menchi was stunned for a moment, and then his face turned red at an incredible speed. None of your business, Ba Po. Blushing, Menchi shouted angrily. What did you say? Crook's face froze suddenly, and he said in a somewhat blunt tone. Immediately afterwards, the two quarreled as if no one was there. Chi Ya and Jin, who were watching from the side, were dumbfounded. Hey, why are the two of them arguing all of a sudden? Jin asked Chi Ya in a low voice. Being ridiculed by Crook, Jin was going to quarrel with Crook to avoid Chi Ya's matter, but Menchi got ahead of him. I don't know. Chi Ya rolled his eyes and said. How did she know how these two guys started arguing? Women's affairs are really troublesome, and they don't understand. Well, Chi Ya, I saw that you treated Menchi just now, can you treat me as well? At this moment, several companions of Menchi came to Chi Ya with each other's support, and asked Chi Ya. Chi Ya frowned, then stretched out her hand. Sincerely benefit 100 million nuns. Ah. Several people were stunned for a moment. Then he reacted, nodded again and again, and the airport lady said, no problem, but we can't transfer it now, and I will transfer it to you after returning to Kashok City, can I? Their mobile phones have been damaged in the battle just now, and now they have no ability to transfer money at all. No problem, I'll give you the account number, and you can just transfer it to me later. Of course, you can play tricks too, as long as you can bear the consequences, Chi Ya said with a smile. However, these words were extremely terrifying to the ears of Bailu and the others, and the immature smiling faces were like a wave mask. They dare not play tricks. They saw Chi Ya's eruption just now, and they solved the beast tide that they had worked hard for more than an hour in just 2 minutes, and they were saved by Chi Ya's eruption. If Chi Ya hadn't erupted just now, then they were not seriously injured, but were smashed to pieces by the beast tide. Their Nen is not even as good as Menchi. Soon, because of the breath of the angel, he appeared again on this battlefield. The archangel behind Chi Ya just let the four of them fully recover with a simple breath, without any injuries at all. Seeing their fully recovered bodies, several people couldn't help thanking Chi Ya repeatedly. The other hunters on the battlefield who had recovered from their paralysis saw this scene and walked towards Chi Ya one after another. Chi Ya's business opened on the battlefield. Jin on the side watched the archangel constantly exhaling the breath of life, with a tangled expression on his face. How did this guy, Chi Ya, breathe the archangel in the island of greed? He wanted to ask, but he was afraid that Chi Ya would remember what happened just now, so he would respectfully present the 200 billion ordinance. So he simply didn't ask. Remember the account number that Chi Ya reported just now, directly open his Teshu account with his mobile phone, and directly transfer 200 billion ringtones to Chi Ya's account at one time. The next thing is very simple. The 200 billion precepts have already been transferred by myself, so I can't let myself transfer again. Well, he Kim Free CSS is such an above-board cheat. Who told you that you were doing business when I transferred the money? I have already transferred it respectfully. You didn't see it yourself. It's not my fault. Gathering wool from many hunters is also receiving gratitude from many hunters. Chi Ya said that this feeling is really good. However, in general, this is not considered wool. After all, the breath of his own archangel indeed healed their wounds. I just need to pay a little thought. The breathing ability of the archangel is very strong, but it doesn't need to consume too much mind energy to use it. Moreover, I did save their lives in the beast tide just now, so it is not surprising that they are grateful to me. Say, let's cook these monsters now. After finishing the business, Chi Ya set his sights on the monsters all over the floor. The circle spread out, and Chi Ya's figure began to run across the plain. Ordinary animals Chi Ya will not move, but Chi Ya will not let go of any of these magical beasts. The wild goose has plucked its hair, but it has been set to leave its skin. Wherever Chi Ya's figure appeared, there would be thunder and lightning flashes, and monsters lost their lives in Chi Ya's hands. In Hunter, several Eudemon's Hunter looked a little bit unbearable when they saw this scene. But they didn't stand up and say anything. First, doing so is indeed the best and fastest way to solve the current situation. Because, with the passage of time, these monsters will definitely recover, and they will not be able to deal with them by then. Although they were cured by Chi Ya, they didn't have much Nian Chi left. Some hunters thought energy has been exhausted at this time, and there is no one who can't recover in 2 or 3 days. Second, they were all rescued by Chi Ya just now, so they are not qualified to dictate to Chi Ya. Didn't those who point fingers at Chi Ya specifically leave a bad impression in Chi Ya's heart? Facing such a Nen master, they have no grievances or enmity, and they are kind to them. They are stupid to do this. This guy said that I killed monsters indiscriminately, and I killed the most fun. This guy Jin is still brooding about this matter. However, he only said one sentence. Turning his head and glanced at the 2 women who were arguing, Jin twitched the corner of his mouth, sighed that women are not easy to mess with, and then ignored the sloppy, sat down on the ground, sitting cross-legged and looking at Chi Yuan on the plain. Ya's figure became deep in thought. How can I persuade this kid to form a team with me? It's a pity that Chi Ya's ancient writing skills are not used on the ruins. Jin could feel that Chi Ya was really not interested in the relics. Just now Chi Ya was touched by his persistent behavior, so he gave himself a chance to persuade. Now it's up to me to see if I have the ability to persuade him. However, he doesn't know anything about Chi Ya now, and he doesn't know how to persuade Chi Ya. Tell Chi Ya about your love for relics and various interests in exploring relics? Come on. Chi Ya is not interested in the ruins at all. The purpose of coming to the ruins this time is to kill monsters. At this moment, there was a huge roar and trampling sound. I saw that at the exit of the ruins that had been calm at first, a mighty beast tide had appeared again at this time. Although not as big as before, the scale is not small. Moreover, all monsters appeared this time, not a single animal. They are all monsters that seem to be very difficult to mess with. Many hunters panicked when they saw the reappearance of the beast horde. The problem here has not been resolved, and now it has appeared again, and all the monsters, how to experience it. Escape? Their gazes involuntarily set on the paralyzed monsters on the ground. I hope Chi Ya can stand up and stop these monsters. However, Chi Ya turned a deaf ear to these gazes, remained unmoved by the monsters that appeared at the entrance of the ruins, and continued to clean up the monsters on the plain. However, although Chi Ya did not respond to these hunters' expectations, she did speak a word. Hey, high-yielding sow, it's your turn to help me stop those monsters. Remember, just stop it, and I will do it later. Hearing Chi Ya's yell, Jin gave up thinking, flashed his figure, and rushed towards the beast tide. He can't do anything about the lineup just now, because there are other people, but he can still solve these things. I saw Jin's figure appearing in front of the beast tide, his right foot was raised high, and the surrounding space began to distort due to the terrifying thought energy gathering, and then he slammed on the ground suddenly. Crack the ground. Boom. With a loud noise, a huge crack across the plain formed under Jin's feet, directly separating the plain from the ruins. The beast tide immediately lost its way forward and stopped involuntarily. However, the rapid gallop prevented many monsters from stopping in time, and they fell into the crack one after another. The remaining monsters roared at Jin on the opposite side of the crack. On the other side of the plain, a huge shock hit, and many hunters accidentally sat down on the ground under the shock, watching this scene with stupefied faces. Cheat, lie. Split the ground with one kick. Who is this uncle? Another giant. This guy, Jin, is stronger. Menchi and Crook, who were arguing, also stopped their quarrel, and Crook looked at Jin standing in front of the crack and twitched slightly. He knew that Jin was very powerful, but he never thought that Jin could split the earth with one kick. Nice, high-yield sows, that's it, wait for me to take care of them. Chi Ya, who was dealing with the beast, couldn't help giving Jin a thumbs up when he saw this scene. In response, Jin gritted his teeth and gestured a middle finger to Chi Ya with a nasty expression, then jumped up, swept across the huge crack, and rushed into the group of monsters. Boom. As the approaching sound submerged into the group of monsters, a huge movement came, and the monsters in the group of monsters kept flying into the sky, and screams of screams came from the group of monsters. Seeing Jin's behavior, Chi Ya suddenly uttered the name of a certain plant silently. The hunters on the plain were stunned when they saw this scene, and anyone with a discerning eye could see that not only was Jin not injured when he rushed into the group of monsters, but he mowed the monsters with wushuang. I'm going. I didn't expect that there is another big boss hidden here. Break into the group of monsters alone, and be unparalleled to the monsters, giant. Stinky high-yielding sow, wait for me. At this moment, Chi Ya also cleaned up the monsters on the plain, and turned into a thunderbolt and submerged into the group of monsters. Immediately, the already boiling group of monsters became more intense. In less than 5 minutes, the last monster completely ended under Chi Ya's lightning. However, although the beast tide ended, another fight started. Chi Ya and Jin's frame. You bastard, I told you to keep it for me, you've been deaf to my words. Why should I listen to you, brat? I'm going to do it, hide and hide. Stinky boy. I see that you used such a huge mind energy just now, and you are not happy to share it for you, thank me quickly. I can clean up all these monsters by myself, and I don't need you at all. On the opposite side of the plain, a group of hunters looked at the two people who were arguing fiercely, with complex expressions. Is this the boss? The animal hordes of that level were not taken seriously at all, and even quarreled for the chance to make a move. This kind of realm is incomparable. Just when Chi Ya and Jin quarreled, and many hunters lamented that their own realms could not be compared, the earth shook again, and then there was a loud noise that shook the sky and earth in the ruins of Koko. In the eyes of everyone, the gray sky of the Kekeli ruins once again appeared in an orange-red color, and countless lavas were launched from the volcanoes again, falling to the surroundings, and once again destroying the Kekeli ruins. Seeing this, Hunter couldn't help feeling a sense of sadness. This level of volcanic eruption, the Kekeli ruins near the volcanic group are the first to bear the brunt. There is no possibility of preservation, and the ruins of civilization more than 1,000 years ago have been destroyed here. These ruins hunters can only watch here, they can't do anything. The mighty power of nature is not something they can resist. According to this level of eruption, it is estimated that it will not stop in a few months, and I don't know if this crack can stop the lava flowing out of these volcanic eruptions. At this time, Chi Ya and Jin also no longer arguing. Jin Ban squatted down, looked at the huge crack that he had split open, and said lightly. You still thought about this aspect when you made the move. Chi Ya listened to Jin's words, and also admired slightly. He didn't think about it at all. He didn't expect Jin to make this crack and think about it. These are matters that tech should take care of, there is no need. Chi Ya shrugged and said. Besides, there are people from V5 to handle things here. That's what you said, but since you have encountered it, let's contribute. Jin nodded and said. Hey, look what that is. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded, and I saw a hunter pointing to the inside of the Koko ruins with a look of shock. Everyone's eyes couldn't help looking in the direction he pointed. In the Kekeli ruins, the towering tree standing in the center of the ruins is waving its thick branches at this moment, smashing the lava falling from the sky into pieces. In this eruption, the lava could not fall from the sky at all, and was completely blocked by these branches. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. They all know this towering tree, which has been standing in the center of the Kekeli ruins. It is not that they have not studied this towering tree, but they have not researched anything. The only thing I know is that this big tree is very vigorous, at least 100 or even hundreds of years old, and I didn't expect it to act. Is it a tree monster? Some Eudemon's hunter silently guessed. This is also understandable. It is recorded on the huge stone tablet that the sentence of relying on the tree god said that this tree already had wisdom thousands of years ago. The civilization built here should be inspired by this tree god. Sheltered. It seems to be true, but it is not omnipotent. Otherwise the civilization established here would not reincarnate once every 1,000 years. Chi-Ya nodded in agreement. Chi-Ya is not stupid. After reading the content on the huge stone tablet, he naturally deduced some history related to this big tree based on these content. Although it can crush the lava, this big tree should not be able to deal with the magma on the ground. Jin nodded and continued. What are you talking about? Crook jumped over from the crack, wondering. As a plant hunter, Crook is very concerned about the towering trees in the Kekeli ruins. Oh, nothing. Kim glanced at her, not going to tell her about the contents of the monolith. Huh. Crook frowned slightly, knowing that Jin was hiding something, but he had no intention of continuing to ask. However, Jin didn't want to say it, but Chi-Ya didn't have this thought. For Chi-Ya, it's not a big deal to talk about this kind of thing. Isn't the history of exploring the ruins and developing the ruins just to expose everything about the ruins to the eyes of the world? There will be no less meat when you say it. If that's what the power of nature in the monument is talking about, tell me, how did this big tree survive? Chi-Ya said slightly curiously. Fire is the natural nemesis of trees. A single spark can start a prairie fire. Even a small spark can burn a grassland or a forest. Although the towering trees are strange, they are still in the range of trees. This is indeed something worthy of attention. Why don't we go in and explore? Jin rubbed his chin, pondered for a moment, and said to Chi-Ya. Hearing this, Chi-Ya rolled her eyes at him and opened her eyes mercilessly. The volcano erupted, and you still ran in there, aren't you stupid? However, although he was angry with Jin, Chi-Ya started to think in his heart. Chi-Ya is also interested in the big tree in the Kekeli ruins. Not surprisingly, this big tree should be more than 1,000 years old, no, not even 2,000 years old. After the volcanic eruption, see if the tree can survive. If it survives, find a chance to go in and study it. You're stupid, Kim retorted. I just want to take this opportunity to see if I can make Chi-Ya interested in the ruins because of this big tree. It has to be said that in order to get Chi-Ya to form a team with him, Jin would not let go of any opportunity. The conversation between the two made Crook on the side hear the mist coming and going, blurred, but his heart was itchy and uncomfortable. I am very interested in the content of the conversation between the two. Chi-Ya. What is the giant stone monument you were talking about? What is the power of nature? Jin couldn't ask, so Crook ran to Chi-Ya and asked. A huge stone tablet under the ruins records the truth about the demise of the Kekeli ruins. Chi-Ya said directly without hiding anything. Why did you tell her this? She's not an expert in this field, and it's useless to know. Jin, an uncle with a very bad personality in some aspects, was talking nonsense as soon as he opened his mouth, which directly aroused Crook's glaring. Just when Crook was about to quarrel with Jin, a buzzing sound rang out from the heads of the crowd. Everyone couldn't help but looked up, and saw an airship with the logo of the Hunter Association slowly flying over from a distance. Soon it stopped on top of everyone's heads. Immediately afterwards, several figures descended from the sky. Is this old man here too? Looking at Netero, who was wearing clogs and leading two people slowly towards the crack, Chi-Ya was slightly surprised. Although volcanic eruptions and beast hordes are coming, there is no need for the president of the Hunter Association to come here. Not to that extent. However, thinking of this guy's personality, Chi-Ya felt that it was a bit natural for this guy to appear here.
The old man was restless. In the original book, whether it is the second experiment in the Hunter experiment or playing games with Jeffrey CSS on the airship, it shows the old guy's boredom and his age-appropriate naughty heart.
Because it's not too surprising that this happened here. Of course, this is just Chi-Ya's opinion. After all, Chi-Ya understands this old man's character. In the eyes of others, it's completely different. Many hunters present at this time were shocked after seeing Netero's appearance. After the shock, they greeted Netero one after another. Netero also nodded to the crowd as he walked. Soon, Netero brought the two people around him to the crack, jumped across the crack and came to Jin. The two people beside him also followed. They were all tall, muscular guys. Chi-Ya recognized the identities of the two at a glance. The second of the 12 earthly branches of the Hunter Association. Chen Potter White Gigante, not Yinda. 3-star terrorist hunter and poaching hunter respectively. I didn't expect to gather 4 members of the 12 earthly branches here. Crook said something strange, then she turned to Netero and greeted respectfully. Greetings from Jushu, President.
Yeah, Crook, you're here too. Also, Jin is also unexpectedly able to meet you who can't see the end of the dragon. Netero nodded, and said hello to Crook and Crook respectively. Then his eyes fell on Chiya. Being able to stand with Jin and Crook, Chiya is definitely not a simple character, and, even if you don't look at this aspect, Chiya's incomparably solid spirit still shocked Netero extremely.
It's amazing to have such strength at such a young age. The eyes of the other two also moved away from Jin and Crook, and after seeing Chiya, their expressions were extremely solemn. Obviously they were also shocked by Chiya. Chiya's age is definitely in line with his height and appearance, not like that guy by Siji in the association. Such a piss has such strength, they have never seen it before.
Haha. How about it? This is my recognized companion. As for the identity, the old man, you should be familiar with him. His surname is Zoldyck. Jin laughed and introduced to Netero with a proud expression on his face.
As soon as these words came out, everyone present was startled. From Zoldyck's family, Silver Daw, the poacher hunter's face didn't change much, while Potter Bai, the terrorist hunter's face turned slightly ugly after hearing Chiya's surname. Broadly speaking, the killer is also a terrorist, which is also within the scope of his profession. Hey, from the Zoldyck family, this silver hair is indeed in line with the Zoldyck family's heritage.
I didn't expect that guy Maha to have such an outstanding junior. It's really gratifying. On the other hand, Netero, after hearing Chiya's surname, not only didn't have a bad face, but on the contrary, he was excited. Netero stroked his beard, said excitedly, and looked at Chiya with interested eyes shining.
Old man, don't look at me with such eyes, my orientation is normal. Facing Netero's burning eyes, Chiya said expressionlessly. Netero's expression froze immediately, and then he said helplessly, it's really not cute, just like your grandpa. Hearing this, Chiya rolled her eyes. Since you belong to Zoldyck, do you want to accept the mission? Netero scratched his shiny forehead and said suddenly. Huh. What task? How much is the reward? Chiya's eyes lit up when he heard the words, and he said with interest. It's really interesting that this old man will do the task as soon as we meet. On the way here, I saw a lot of monsters leaving here. They seem to have gone to the nearby city of Salia. Let's wipe out all these monsters. How about 5 billion rings? If possible, I'll log into your Zoldyck family's website now and issue a mission. Netero took out a mobile phone from his pocket and shook it. Hearing this, Chiya's expression became slightly strange. Even Jin's face was a little weird. Double, 10 billion, I'll take it. Chiya gave Netero a weird look, and then said. Well, 10 billion? Okay. Let's make a deal. Old man, I will start the task now. Netero stroked his beard and pondered for a moment after hearing this, and then agreed. After speaking, he started to operate the mobile phone, entered the Zoldyck family's website and started to issue tasks with ease. Judging from this posture, the old man frequently assigned tasks on the Zoldyck family website. The corners of Chiya's mouth twitched. As the president of the Hunter Association, what the hell is it to regularly post missions on the Zoldyck family website? Okay, it's done, you can take over the task. Soon, Netero finished the operation and said to Chiya. Chiya didn't answer, but opened the family website with her mobile phone, and soon saw the task of Isaac Netero, checked it and took it directly after checking it. Okay, the task has been accepted, I will complete it, but I am curious, there are several masters here, and there are so many hunters over there, why do you still have to issue a task? Let them go after it. Chiya was very puzzled. 4 of the 12 earthly branches are here. With their abilities, those monsters that escaped should be able to clean up easily. Why bother to make a fuss and assign tasks to myself? So much money wasted in vain, and money is not spent like this. Tell me this, they all have special missions. As for those over there, do you think they can deal with monsters in their current situation? Netero stroked his beard and smiled. Chiya heard the words, looked at a few people, and then looked at the opposite person, seeing the extremely weak thoughts on their bodies, nodded in agreement. These guys are unreliable. Understood, well, I'm going to perform the task now, then, bye. Chiya said to Netero, and then prepared to leave here in a flash. Wait. Chiya. Give me your contact information. Jin stopped Chiya and asked Chiya for the contact information. Chiya also gave it readily, and then quickly left. Hey, it's the first time I've seen you ask someone else for your contact information, Jin. Although this kid is very powerful, he doesn't have to be worth it, right? Is there anything special about it? Netero rolled his eyes slightly. Liang said curiously. Didn't I just say that? This kid is my recognized companion. Jin turned his head, smiled, and said. Oh, by the way, old man Netero, the purpose of Chi-Ya's coming here is to find and kill monsters. Jin suddenly thought of something, and said with a strange expression. Hearing this, Netero was taken aback for a moment, then realized that he almost slapped his beard off. Then boy, the purpose of coming here is to kill monsters? Netero asked, slightly confused. Yes, so you don't have to issue missions to him just now. Even if there are no missions, that kid will not let those escaped monsters go. Jin bared his teeth and smiled wickedly. Then why didn't you say it earlier, kid, and wasted the old man's 10 billion ordinances? Being tricked by Jin, Netero suddenly had a toothache and the corners of his eyes twitched. Hey, I don't have any loss if you are cheated, but I will be very happy to see you being cheated. Jin he smiled and said gloatingly. I know that you are not welcome in the 12 earthly branches, such a bad character. Netero scratched his forehead and said very depressed. Okay. Let's not talk about this, tell the old man what happened here. Chi-Ya dodged and left here, and Menchi also followed after seeing this. As for several of her teammates, they followed suit. And Netero and others, after communicating in front of the crack for more than 10 minutes, for some unknown reason, they all entered the Coco ruins, and only Crook remained. With the order of Netero, the hunter who stayed here was organized and began to tidy up the battlefield and wait for the arrival of the military power of the Tech Kingdom to launch military defense here. Naturally, Chi-Ya didn't know about this. At this time, Chi-Ya has already begun to harvest the monsters that left the plane. However, most of the people who left the plane were animals, and there were quite a few monsters. But Menchi, why are you following me? Chi-Ya wondered while running, looking at who had been following her all the time. There is no guarantee that there will be another eruption at the ruins, and it is very dangerous to stay there. Hey, the mind energy in us is almost exhausted again. It's better to be by your side at this time, otherwise it will be very troublesome. Menchi laughed. Menchi's companions on the side nodded as quickly as a chicken pecking at rice. Follow if you want. Chi-Ya shrugged, said indifferently, and then accelerated the speed again. On the way from the ruins to Salia, none of the monsters could escape Chi-Ya's clutches, and Chi-Ya's strengthening point started to move again. Originally, there were only more than 6,000 enhancement points. After hunting in the ruins and the outbreak of the plane, plus the current pursuit, Chi-Ya's enhancement points are close to 15,000. It is estimated that the complete extermination of all the escaped monsters can reach about 16,000. Hey, Chi-Ya, what happened in the ruins? I remember those volcanic groups are extinct volcanoes. The professional hunter in this area has been specially surveyed, and it is impossible to erupt. Menchi asked. I don't know. Chi-Ya shook his head, expressing that he didn't know either. All I know is the content of the Millennium Reincarnation on the giant stone tablet. But since a special hunter has surveyed it, it should be a real extinct volcano. Why did it erupt? Chi-Ya is also very puzzled. At the same time, when Menchi mentioned this, the previous question appeared in Chi-Ya's mind. Why did Netero come here specially, and he also brought 12 earthly branches with him? You know, that Potter Bai is a 3-star hunter whose strength is recognized to be close to Netero. And another Yinda is also strong, with a score of 90 points in Hisoka's score. Netero plus these two, this kind of lineup is very strong, and they definitely have their purpose in arriving here. When Menchi mentioned this, Chi-Ya guessed that the purpose of Netero's coming here is very likely to be related to the volcano group. However, what does this have to do with me? Chi-Ya shrugged and said with a light smile. The purpose of his coming here is to kill the monsters in the ruins to obtain strengthening points. Now, the monsters in the ruins are probably killed by him, so there is no need to stay here any longer. Moreover, Jin, the sloppy uncle, seemed to insist on letting himself form a team with him. While Jin is held back by Netero, it is better to complete the tasks issued by Netero early, and leave here after finishing the reward. Let me be a killer to explore the ruins with you, are you kidding me? What are you talking about? Chi-Ya's words made Menchi confused. No, nothing. Chi-Ya shook his head, without any intention of explaining. Then he accelerated his speed again. Menchi and others looked at the flashing lightning on Chi-Ya's body, and the corners of their mouths twitched slightly. How can you let us follow you like this? On the other side, in the ruins of Coco. At this moment, Netero, Jin and others were running quickly towards the direction of the volcano group. I said, old man, you just came here without preparing anything. What are you going to do with the lava all over the floor? Jin teased Netero while running. Do you want to swim in lava? How is it possible? We are prepared to come here. Netero laughed and said. Yinda, it's up to you. Afterwards, Netero looked at Yinda, who looked a little dazed beside him, and said, "Understood, President." Yinda replied blankly. Then he put his left hand on the end, and suddenly blew a whistle that resounded through the ruins. The loud whistle is very obvious even in this series of roaring explosions, echoing in the ruins. "Hush. Look at the situation, there is a helper in this ruin." Yinda's action made Jinlian startled, and then said with a faint smile, "I have been here before, and I have reached an agreement with the patron saint here, and he will assist us." Yinda said with a silly smile. "Patron saint? Can't it be?" Jin heard the words, his smile moved slightly, and he guessed something. The next moment, a few huge branches fell from the sky, landed in front of them, rolled them up from the ground and landed on the thick branches. "Hee. Yinda, I didn't expect you to have such ability. Yinda underestimated you." Jin said with a meaningful look at Yinda. Jin and the others were in midair at this time, and at their feet were the branches of the towering trees in the Kakeli ruins. Jin originally thought that Yinda's whistling was calling for helpers here, but he didn't expect to call the patron saint of the Koko ruins. "However, old man, you hid it deep enough, and you didn't say this kind of thing until now." Jin Weiwei glanced at Netero and said, "Ho ho. I didn't believe it at first, but I didn't expect it to be true." Netero stroked his chin and smiled slyly, like an old fox. People can't believe his words at all. "Okay, don't gossip, get ready. We'll be here soon." Immediately, Netero's face became serious, and he told the three of them. At the moment when Netero's voice fell, several people had been sent to the center of the volcano group by huge branches. Jin looked at Netero, secretly said to the old fox, and then looked down. After seeing the scene below, Jin's face gradually became serious. "This amount is too much, if you don't handle it well." In Jin's eyes, the volcanoes in his field of vision were very mild, with no signs of eruption at all. However, each volcano has a huge lava on its outlet edge. Red magma gushes out of these lavas every once in a while, turning into lava titans with a height of more than 3 meters. As soon as the lava titans appear, they wave their huge arms transformed from magma, and roar to the sky. It's like celebrating your own birth. Every time these lava titans wave, the originally mild volcano group will erupt once, and countless lavas will soar into the sky. This situation is clear at a glance. Obviously, the eruption of the volcanic group this time is caused by the existence of these lava titans. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I really couldn't believe it. There is such a legendary creature in this world. The nature is really amazing. Seeing a lava titan born from the lava, I was shocked. He had only seen this kind of thing in those storybooks when he was a child. Nature is always mysterious. It's normal for what kind of races will be born. Existence is reasonable, isn't it? Netero, on the other hand, looked very calm when he saw these lava titans, and said with a smile, "Indeed, the mystery of nature is beyond our comprehension." Jin nodded and said in agreement. For Jin, who has been tossing around various relics, he is the most clear about the power of nature, and he will not be too surprised or difficult to accept what happens. "President, what should we do with these volcanoes? According to the current situation, if these lava titans continue to rage, I'm afraid that the entire Taika country will suffer. Maybe it will even threaten other countries or the world." Potter's Day asked Netero. "Every time these lava titans appear, they will cause terrible eruptions in the volcano group. Now there are only a few dozen lava titans below, and the volcanoes have erupted to such an extent that the entire Kakeli ruins are on the verge of destruction. If it continues, it will definitely threaten the entire country of Taika and then the entire world. Although some alarmist talk, but according to this situation, if it is not stopped, there is definitely this possibility." "Well, that's right. Destroy the huge lava coming out of the crater. Those are the source. Without that, the lava titan would not be born." Netero stroked his beard, lightly nodded in agreement. "They're here to fix this problem. Let's do it." Netero shouted first, and then jumped down. A golden Buddha figure with hundreds of arms quickly formed. Netero slowly made a prayer movement, and the next moment, the huge golden arms suddenly blasted out and landed on the huge lava below. The first form of Avalokitesvara boom. Accompanied by a loud noise, the huge lava was split apart under the attack of the golden arm's handknife, turned into countless fragments, and shot out in all directions. This immediately inspired the lava titans born from the huge lava, roaring and attacking the Netero in midair. Under the control of these lava titans, the overwhelming lava turned into nets, covering Netero with a bang. Facing the attack that seemed to have nowhere to escape, Netero looked indifferent, and put his hands together in a prayer gesture again, slowly closing them together. The 18th form of Avalokitesvara, the densely packed arms swept out in all directions, and under the densely packed attack, the dense net formed by the magma shattered in less than 2 seconds, turning into bits of magma that fell powerlessly into the magma below, flowing slowly. Not only that, as the giant lava net was shattered, the attack of Netero's 100-style Guanyin also crashed down on the lava titan below. Under the terrifying power, the lava titan of this volcanic group didn't even have the ability to resist, so it was smashed into pieces by countless golden Buddha's palms, and melted into the flowing lava. Afterwards, Netero quickly controlled Baishi Guanyin and flew towards another volcano. The three of Jin watched Netero show off his might, and after looking at each other in blank dismay, they each started to act. I saw Jin jumping up, and under the force of terror, Jin shot out like a cannonball into the volcano next door. After 2 seconds, the sonic boom cloud appeared in front of Jin before he knew it, standing on a branch. But Potter Bai and Yinda were not as free and easy as Jin. After begging to the branches, they rushed towards other volcanoes supported by the branches. The strength of these lava titans is not strong. The powerful force of these lava titans lies in triggering volcanic eruptions. The people present are all Nen masters, the strongest Nen recognized by the world, and one of the top 5 Nen in the world. There are 2 remaining, one is close to Netero in strength, and the other is also extremely powerful. Under the shots of the 4, the huge lava in the volcano group was soon shattered. The lava titans born from the lava were also wiped out one by 5 people. It's really hard for this old man. I still have to come out to do tasks at such an old age. After eliminating the huge lava and lava titan, several people gathered together. Netero hammered his old waist, complaining, but there was no sign of fatigue on his face. Instead, he was full of energy. The 12 earthly branches looked at Netero, a living treasure, and shook their heads speechlessly. But Jin, this guy didn't care about Netero's tricks at all, but stared at his palm with a solemn expression. Jin, what are you looking at? Potter asked with a frown. Did you encounter this when you killed those lava titans just now? Jin stretched out the things in his palm to Netero and the others, and asked them. In Jin's hand is a red spar exuding a scorching aura, and a strange aura emanates from the spar at this time. What is this? Netero asked curiously. Didn't you notice the things that fell from the lava titans after killing them? Jin explained truthfully, and then asked back, with a serious look on his face. He now has an ominous premonition, and this ominous premonition is brought to him by this spar. The 3 of them shook their heads when they heard the words. The old man didn't pay attention to this. Me too. No, seeing this, Jin frowned slightly, and complained to the 3 of them inwardly. Those 3 guys, no details at all. However, after finishing speaking, a scorching tingling sensation suddenly came from Jin's palm. Jin couldn't help throwing the red spar in his hand away from the pain. Jin quickly ran to the edge of the branch and looked down. I saw that the red spar fell into the magma, and soon fused with the magma. Seeing this scene, Jin frowned tightly, and the ominous premonition in his heart became stronger and stronger. On the other hand, Chi Ya, who chased and killed the monsters, completely eliminated the monsters before they entered Salia City. As for why it was so fast, it was because these demonic beasts happened to meet the security forces heading to the plane from Salia City. It was blocked for a while, so Chi Ya was given a chance to wipe it out in one fell swoop. As a result, the security force of Salia City also suffered heavy losses. However, these have nothing to do with Chi Ya. After so many things, the night has already fallen. Chi Ya, who has completed the task released by Netero, has already received her reward and returned to the hotel where she stayed. After returning to the hotel, washing up and paying homage to the 5 Zhang Temple, Chi Ya couldn't wait to open her attribute panel to clean up her harvest of the day. 3 bottles of 1,000-year-old stone milk brought out of the underground cave of the Kakeli ruins. Then there is wealth. A large amount of treasures were obtained from the sacrificial temples in the ground, and those treasures were exchanged for money, which is estimated to be worth hundreds of billions of rings. Then came the 200 billion that he had bet with Jin. Speaking of which, this guy Jin is really cunning. He transferred the money to me when I was doing business. It's a shame. However, forget it, let's just leave it at that. With that guy's character, it's probably impossible for him to do something like presenting 200 billion respectfully. If I force him, there is a high probability that I will have one more enemy, and this guy is one of the top 5 Nen in the world. In addition to these, there are Netero's 10 billion, and those hunters IOUS, 700 to 800 million. The treasures in the sacrificial temple are counted as 500 billion, and the total wealth I have obtained today is 717.8 billion. It's really a huge sum of money, so much, it will take at least 10 years for me to do the task. Most of them are treasures in the sacrificial temple. The relic hunter is really rich. No wonder this guy Jin claims to have presidential-level financial resources. It's all because this guy developed the ruins and obtained the treasures in the ruins. How about I agree to Jin's invitation and form a team with him to explore the ruins? Chi Ya said to himself half-jokingly. The next moment, he shook his head and threw away the thought. Just kidding, I'm the killer of the Zoldyck family, how can I be a relic hunter? If I, the future patriarch, really follow Jin to become a relic hunter, my father and grandpa will definitely not agree, even my great-grandfather Maha. Once I really make the ruins hunter, it is estimated that Father Silva, Grandpa Geno and great-grandfather Maha will all come out of Kukushan to settle accounts with gold. So forget it. With so much financial resources, it is enough to train Tall and the others. The Zoldyck family, the resources that each clansman needs for cultivation, will be provided by the family. But if you want to form a force, sorry, that is your own business, and the resources needed to form a force must be provided by you. Chi Ya was still thinking that next year, he would try his best to accept the mission and earn enough monies to exchange for various resources to train Tall and the others. But now, this goal has been achieved suddenly. After returning, prepare resources for their cultivation for Tall and the others. Thinking silently in her heart, Chi Ya finally focused on the main event. Strengthening points. 16,532 Chi Ya's current enhancement points are more than 160,000. This was something Chi Ya didn't even dare to think about. Originally, when he came to the Cocoa Ruins this time, Chi Ya's goal was just to get a few thousand reinforcement points here, but he didn't expect to be able to get so many. Name. Chi Ya Zoldyck ability. Nen. Conjurer Nen speed. Thunder, 10,000, trait Nen space, 5,000, manipulator Nen ring of angels archangel's breath, 5,000, enhancer Nen, 5,000, emitter Nen elimination, 1,000. Note. The reinforcement points required for the next reinforcement are in parentheses. Deputy ability. Cuisine. Advanced cuisine, 500, archaeology, archaeology expert, 5,000. Note. In brackets are the enhancement points required for the next enhancement. Strengthening points. 16,532 items, aluminum alloy yo-yo. Looking at the attribute panel, Chi Ya meditated silently. Last time I strengthened Conjurer's speed, this time I will strengthen the traits and enhancer. Traits and enhancers have been pulled down too much. It is 2 levels lower than Conjurer. Now that she has the Nen of these two systems, Chi Ya will not just sit and watch the gap between the two Nen being created by Conjurer. System. Strengthen trait system, space, strengthen enhancer. Ding. Use 5,000 enhancement points to strengthen the trait system in space. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the trait system and space operation. Ding. Use 5,000 enhancements to take you to strengthen the enhancer. As soon as the system's voice fell, Chi Ya could clearly feel that 2 huge streams of thought energy suddenly emerged in his body, and a powerful momentum burst out from Chi Ya's body. With the lessons learned from the past, Chi Ya paid attention to this reinforcement all the time, and was suppressed by Chi Ya the moment the momentum exploded. But even so, the whole room still shook under the aftermath of the momentum, and the room became a mess. The thought energy that appeared in Chi Ya's body was so huge that it almost reached the 7th level of Chi Ya's peak before it was strengthened. That is to say, with these 2 strengthenings, Chi Ya's Nian Qi directly increased by more than 7 layers. Chi Ya's previous Nian Qi storage had a potential capacity of 100,000, but now it has skyrocketed to more than 170,000. With such a huge mind energy, Chi Ya is sure that the potential energy in his body at this moment has indeed surpassed his father Silva, but he does not know if he has surpassed his grandfather Jianuo. At the same time, Chi Ya also felt the changes in the Nen space of her enhancer and traits. The enhanced performance of the enhancer is very simple. Chi Ya can clearly perceive that the power of his enhancer Nian Qi has changed greatly, and his physical fitness has more than doubled. This means that his aura of being able to shoot with all his strength has become stronger again, and the power of the explosion has also become stronger. However, without trying it, Chi Ya doesn't know what kind of power his current enhancer can erupt. Can you fight against the Ant King's 3 guards? It's really exciting. As for the space of the trait system, if the previous Chi Ya could only use the simple ability of space movement, then the current Chi Ya has the ability to play with space. Like this. As soon as Chi-Ya stretched out his hand, a transparent barrier formed instantly. This was created by Chi-Ya's manipulation of the surrounding space, which can defend against powerful attacks. Moreover, even the naughty can't see this barrier when using Ning transparent barrier. Only Chi-Ya can see it. Of course, those of other space systems can also see it. This is a space barrier, which can completely isolate everything inside and outside the barrier. In addition, Chi-Ya's hand moved slightly, and a transparent blade spun in the palm of Chi-Ya's palm. Chi-Ya's thoughts moved slightly, and the next moment, the transparent blade disappeared, and the painting on the wall directly became the two halves were smashed and fell down. Space blade. A sharp blade that manipulates space to cut. It is silent, hard to defend, and kills invisible. It is a move that fits Chi-Ya's identity as a killer. In addition, there are several other types, as for which ones, I won't say much. Standing up, Chi-Ya moved her hands and feet, looked at the mess in the room, and shook her head helplessly. Every breakthrough will cause this situation awe. After getting off the bed, Chi-Ya left the room directly, went to the front desk to compensate for the loss of the room, and then moved into another room. Chi-Ya, who had just finished changing rooms and was about to rest, received a phone call. Is it Chi-Ya? As soon as the connection was made, a hurried voice came from inside, and Chi-Ya immediately recognized the owner of the voice as Kruk. How does this guy have my phone? Chi-Ya thought suspiciously, but he didn't give Kruk his contact information. Kruk. How did you know my phone number? Chi-Ya asked strangely. I took it from the hunters who were treated by you. Kruk was slightly taken aback by his urgent tone, and then said. Chi-Ya suddenly realized that those guys still owed him money, so he gave them the contact information. Don't tell me this, Chi-Ya. I have a request here, 20 billion nuns. Do you want to accept it? After being dazed for a while, Clushu's tone became urgent again. These words made Chi-Ya's expression even weirder. Hey guys, are all the top executives of your hunter association so casual? I'm a killer. Is it really okay for you hunters to issue tasks to a killer so casually? Was it infected by old man Netero? Even though he thought so, Chi-Ya didn't just say it out of nowhere. If you have money, you don't make a bastard. Chi-Ya is ready to accept decisively. However, before doing this, she has to look at what the task is. Come on. What is the mission? You'll know when you come here, Kruk said hastily. After finishing speaking, he directly hung up the call too. The speed of hanging up the phone made Chi-Ya a little uncomfortable, staring blankly at the phone in his hand. Are you going? Chi-Ya thought of this question. From the words of this fellow Kruk, it can be heard that something big seems to have happened on the plane. With Netero, the strongest Nen, and Jin, the world's top 5 Nen, and the other 212 earthly branches, can something big happen? Moreover, after such a long time, the army of the Taika kingdom should have rushed there. Can't this lineup hold that plane? Chi-Ya frowned slightly, thinking strangely. It's really troubling me, I haven't rested yet. I thought so, but Chi-Ya still set off to return to the Kakeli ruins again. Hey, Chi-Ya, where are you going so late? Take me with you. At this moment, a figure walked up the corridor, and Menchi greeted him with a playful smile. Why don't you take a good rest in the room and recover your energy? What are you doing out? Chi-Ya tilted his head, puzzled. Moreover, I'm still holding 2 bottles of wine. Chi-Ya's eyes fell on the 2 bottles of wine in Menchi's hands and he thought silently. Hey, I came here to ask you to set up a dragon gate, but it seems that you have something to go out. Take me out together, go out with you, I think something interesting will happen. Menchi waved the wine bottle in his hand said. In this case, what else is there besides the matter over the ruins? Chi-Ya rolled his eyes. However, since you want to follow, then follow. If you are the only one, I can still protect you. Chi-Ya waved his hand and said. Hey, let's go. After getting the answer, Menchi strode over and put his arms on Chi-Ya's shoulder and said with a smile. Facial cleanser again. The soft touch from the face made crossroads appear on Chi-Ya's forehead, and his face was full of impatience. Can this guy pay attention to his behavior? Hee. This kid's expression is the most interesting. Menchi also noticed Chi-Ya's impatience, and couldn't help laughing in his heart. Yes, she did it on purpose. Teasing Chi-Ya makes her feel happy. What are you going to do with these 2 bottles of wine? Take it with you or keep it in my room. Chi-Ya looked at the 2 bottles of sake in Menchi's hand and asked. Let's put it in your room first, and I'll drink it when I get back. Menchi replied. Chi-Ya nodded, then opened the door and asked Menchi to put 2 bottles of wine on the wine cabinet in the room. Okay, let's go. You said that guy issued a mission for you. On the way, after Menchi learned the reason why Chiya came out, he suddenly became furious. What does that old ant want to do? Crook's age is at best a few years older than Menchi's, but in Menchi's eyes, Crook is just an aging ant, or an ant who is not pleasing to the eye. Ah, Netero and Jin are obviously there, and this guy Crook asked me to issue a mission. I don't know what happened over there. After you get there, you will follow me. Don't run around. Chiya nodded, said, and instructed Menchi. Menchi, who was furious, heard Chiya's words of concern, and his anger dissipated immediately. He looked at Chiya in a daze, and didn't speak. On the intricate path, a big tree appeared head-on, and Menchi, who was distracted, almost bumped into the big tree, but at the critical moment, Chiya shot and pulled him over. Hey, don't be distracted when you are on the road, you almost hit it. Chiya said lightly, circling Menchi's slender waist. Oh. Menchi, who came back to his senses, answered in a low voice, and then he stopped talking, and the whole person became quiet, as if he had changed into a different person. I'm going to let go, you run by yourself. Seeing this, Chiya didn't say a word, so she was going to let Menchi go and let Menchi run by herself. Hey, Chiya, run with me behind your back. As soon as Chiya spoke, Menchi seemed to have recovered his previous personality. Chiya's neck, lying on Chiya's back, and said with a smile. Come down for me. Why are you here too? And you still look like this, puff, no, haha. After seeing Chiya appear, Crook rushed over immediately. However, when he saw Menchi after that, he was stunned, and then he burst out laughing. At this time, Menchi's cheeks were extremely red, swollen, making that beautiful face unbalanced, like a doormat. It's nothing, this guy is making progress. Joe replied lightly for Menchi. Menchi snorted coldly, turned his face away, and ignored Chiya. When Crook heard this, he glanced at the two of them with a strange expression. Where are Netero and Jin? Also, what happened here? Chiya stood beside Crook, looking at everything in front of him, frowning slightly. The president and Jin entered the ruins, but they haven't come out yet. As for here, as you can see, the magma has spread over, and the speed is very fast, and these monsters born from the magma. Kelushu quickly told Chiya about the more than an hour when Chiya left. Everything that happened. At this time, Chiya was presented with an endless sea of magma, and the magma spreading from the canyon had completely filled up the huge crack opened by Jinsuo, spreading over from the crack, and the magma outside the canyon half of the area of the plain has been occupied, and the magma is still slowly spreading. These are not the point. The point is that the spreading magma will crawl out of the magma from time to time, huge lava titans. At this time, the hunters staying here and the troops sent by the Tech Kingdom are fighting against these lava titans, but they are fighting and retreating. As long as there is magma, these lava titans cannot be killed. Even if it is continuously shattered, it can be resurrected from the magma again. Looking at the scene in front of him, Chiya frowned tightly. So, these are the tasks you want to release? Chiya looked at Crook and asked. Well, I hope you can help me completely wipe out these monsters born in the magma. How can it be done? Crook nodded lightly. Hearing this, Chiya didn't answer directly, but pinched her chin and silently looked at the lava sea in front of her. Crook didn't bother Chiya either. 10 seconds later, Chiya stretched out his hand suddenly, moved his fingers lightly towards one of the lava titans that had just been revived from the magma, and made a bound gesture. The next moment, in Chiya's eyes, a transparent frame appeared to surround the lava servant, and immediately, the space inside the frame began to distort. Boom. Then, there was a crackling sound, and the lava titan that Chiya aimed at with his left hand suddenly burst open. Space burst. The tearing attack formed by squeezing the space, can easily tear everything in the space to pieces. Even Balian iron and steel, if hit by this move, will be torn to pieces. The blasted lava was scattered in the magma, and there was no movement for a long time, as if it had been completely killed. This scene stunned the army and hunters who were fighting against the lava titan. Because, every time these lava titans are destroyed, they will be resurrected from the magma in less than 2 seconds. They can't kill them at all, but they can't leave them alone, they can only kill them again and again, so as to slow down the pace of these molten titans. But this time, after the lava titan was destroyed, it didn't come back to life. Could it be that it was really killed? Immediately, their eyes turned to this side. After seeing the appearance of the visitor, the hunters all breathed a sigh of relief. Now that the boss is here, things will be much easier to handle. With this boss around, there is absolutely no problem. Chi Ya's ability to directly sweep the entire battlefield with a single blow has made the hunters present thoroughly understand and recognize Chi Ya's strength. When discussing Chi Ya in private, they always discuss it as a big boss. As for those troops, they did not respond with a sigh of relief. Although Chi Ya killed a lava titan, there are dozens of lava titans here, and it's not time for them to relax. An officer who looked like a leader quickly ran towards Chi Ya. "Ms. Crook, who is this boy?" After running over, the officer asked Crook. "Chi Ya, the helper I called." Crook replied lightly. "Chi Ya, hello. I'm Taylor Fu, the commander-in-chief of the Taika army." The officer stretched out his hand and introduced himself respectfully to Chi Ya. Although Chi Ya was very young, Taylor Fu dared not show slightest neglect or disrespect at all. He has already confirmed Crook's identity, one of the top 12 earthly branches in the Hunter Association, and Chi Ya who can stand with Crook is definitely not an easy person. Although he is the supreme commander of the army of a country, the position of the supreme commander of the army is only a small country. He may have a high position in the country of Tech, but in front of Hunter, especially the 12 earthly branches, this status is insignificant. In addition, Chi Ya's behavior just now is also worthy of him. Because, whether these monsters can be killed is related to the safety of the entire Taika country. If the situation here is not dealt with thoroughly, it will threaten the whole country. The magma on the ground is very easy to handle, as long as a huge crack is made in front to isolate the magma from the outside world. At that time, the pulp can be processed slowly. Now the problem before them is these unkillable monsters. Through his observation just now, the existence of these monsters has increased the speed of the spread of these magmas several times. If they don't stop them, they will soon be forced to leave this place, and then they will threaten the city of Salia behind them, and even the entire country. Faced with Taylor Fu's respectful behavior, Chi Ya nodded lightly, and did not respond, but put his gaze into the lava sea. There seemed to be something stiff in the monster's body just now, and it was torn to pieces by my space burst. Chi Ya had a little guess in his heart, and raised his left hand again, aiming at another lava titan. Facing Chi Ya's ignorance, Taylor Fu did not complain at all, especially after seeing Chi Ya's hand aimed at the other lava titan. A smile appeared on his rigid Chinese character face. Although Chi Ya ignored him, it would be great if Chi Ya could take action to destroy these monsters. Rot. Did you find anything? Crook saw Chi Ya's actions, and also guessed what Chi Ya should have seen, so he couldn't help asking curiously. "Ah, I found something, I'll give it a try now." Chi Ya nodded and said. Afterwards, the left hand once again made a gesture of Dongfu. Bang! The lava titan that Chi Ya was aiming at suddenly exploded under the squeeze of the space. This time, the lava titan that was exploded was not completely shattered. A piece of red spar floated in midair while the lava was flying, slowly falling down. With a thought, Chi Ya directly used the space ability to send this red spar over. As soon as he held this spar, a system prompt sounded in his mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the special treasure Lava Heart. Lava Heart. Lava is the core of the Titan, the core is not destroyed, and the Titan is not destroyed. Hearing this reminder, Chi Ya was taken aback for a moment. In other words, as long as this spar is destroyed, these monsters called lava titans can be completely exterminated. Yes, host, but this system does not recommend that the host destroy the lava core. Each lava core can convert 100 enhancement points. Besides, using mind energy to refine the lava core can also change the host's physique, improve the host's affinity for flames, and the host's cultivation of the fire attribute Conjurer Nen will be easy. Well, it seems that this thing is really a rare treasure. Listening to the system's explanation, Chi Ya's eyes gradually narrowed, and the corners of his mouth curled up. Chi Ya. What is this? Crook and Menchi looked at the lava heart in Chi Ya's hand and asked curiously. They could tell that the things in Chi Ya's hands were definitely good things, otherwise Chi Ya wouldn't show this expression. Chi Ya's expression now is like a little fox who got a beloved toy. It's nothing. Chi Ya shook her head and didn't want to explain. Afterwards, he looked at the lava titans that were constantly being killed and revived in the lava sea. Leave these monsters to me. Rumble. The dense thunderbolts illuminated the night sky, and the magma sea completely opened up a feast of thunder at this moment. The thunder branch once again spread its sharp fangs on the plain. The scene was huge, and hundreds of lava titans that made everyone present helpless were completely destroyed under the bombardment of the thunder. The ghost's lava core floating in midair was caught by the thunder that turned into a palm before it fell into the magma to regenerate, and sent it towards Chi-Ya. Not everyone present saw the abnormality of lava core. Some shrewd-eyed hunters have already noticed that something is wrong with the lava core. However, they are helpless about it. Because their Nian Qi has not recovered until now, only a very small amount of Nian Qi has recovered, and it is impossible to launch an attack to destroy the lava titan along with the lava core, so it is impossible to determine the lava titan's identity weakness. They have seen the existence of the lava core, and they know that this red spar is very important. But the rare Nian Qi couldn't get the lava core before it fell into the magma. After all, they couldn't enter the magma sea. Moreover, these lava titans are very doggy. They are always in the middle of the magma sea, they will never get close to the edge, and they don't give the hunters any chance at all. They only know how to push the magma and act together with the magma. As for Crook, although she is much stronger than other hunters, her Nen is not good at fighting by nature. It's okay at close range, but the power of long-range attacks is not satisfactory. After all, she is not a transmuter Nen. As for the army, this country does not seem to have two strong thermal weapons. It seems that they are all rifles, not even a bazooka. Even the underworld can get a bazooka. This country doesn't have it. A poor ghost, otherwise it would not be able to destroy a lava titan by now. I don't know what the top management of this country thinks. Once the bazooka is out, once it hits, the lava titan and lava core will be blown to pieces. Although this country has a large area, it is not unreasonable that it is a small country. They don't even know how to develop armaments. It's over like this, as expected of a boss. It's different for the boss to make a move. He directly hits the whole field. Seeing that Chi-Ya arrived, he easily eliminated the lava titan that so many of them were helpless. The hunters present were all shocked, followed by worship and admiration, and some hunters started to lick. I don't know if this boss is recruiting subordinates. If so, I will be the first to sign up. Being able to become the subordinate of a powerful Nen is also a good thing for them new Nen. Quilt. Me too. I think you want to lose the 100 million ring nuns. No way, even if I become the boss's subordinate, I will pay back the 100 million nuns. Everyone began to discuss in private. Most of them were discussing whether Chi-Ya would accept his subordinates. Chi-Ya's 2 shots have completely conquered this group of people. Many people hope to become Chi-Ya's subordinates. However, these Chi-Ya do not know. Even if Chi-Ya knew about it, she probably wouldn't pay attention to it. Chi-Ya will not recruit subordinates at will, but recruit subordinates who are talented. Just like the Tals of the Karuta tribe. Don't even think about these crooked melons and dates. After waving all the lava hearts into the system space, Chi-Ya looked at Crook, took out the phone and put it in front of Crook. The sincerity is 20 billion, please pay the bill, this is my account number. Crook slowly withdrew his eyes from the lava sea, and looked at Chi-Ya. It's done so easily. Why do I feel that your showmanship has become stronger again? Crook took out his mobile phone and started transferring money, and said suspiciously while transferring money. In Chi-Ya's attack just now, she could see that the power of the thunder tree released by Chi-Ya became stronger again. This means that Chi-Ya's display capacity has increased again this time. Did you see that? Women are really careful enough. Chi-Ya looked at Crook unexpectedly, and silently sighed. Chi-Ya, don't look at this guy. Menchi, who was thinking of ignoring Chi-Ya for a while, saw Chi-Ya's gaze, and suddenly became furious. He quickly walked behind Chi-Ya, and covered Chi-Ya's face eyes. Chi-Ya. Menchi, this guy is jealous enough, he might really like me. Blindfolded Chi-Ya thought helplessly. This guy has been teasing himself, and every time he talks to Crook, this guy will make trouble and be full of jealousy. Taken together, this performance is very similar to the scenes I often saw in my previous life. President, leave such a big trouble to me. When he comes back, he must reimburse me for this task, otherwise I won't do it. Crook didn't try to tease Menchi's jealousy this time. Instead, he stared at the account deposit in his mobile phone with distress, and whispered resentfully. She is not gold, she has huge financial resources. As a plant hunter, her net worth is not rich, only about a few tens of billions, and the sudden transfer of 20 billions made Crook very distressed. Okay. This time the task is completed, I'll go back first. Chi-Ya broke Menchi's hand and said to Crook. The task is completed, Chi-Ya doesn't need to stay here anymore, he has to go back to rest. Oh. Then, that's it, goodbye, Chi-Ya. Crook heard this, raised his head, looked at Chi-Ya with resentment and said. 20 billion, half of my property. Stared at by Crook's eyes, Chi-Ya felt slightly trembling, nodded, and then directly grabbed Menchi, dropped a word, and left here quickly. 20 billion is my task reward, and I won't pay you back. Crook, who was resentful, was stunned when he heard the words, and then the corners of his mouth rose slightly. This kid is really interesting. Phew, I can finally have a good rest. It was past 2 o'clock in the morning when I rushed back to Salia City as fast as possible. As soon as I got back to the hotel, Chi-Ya went straight to her room and lay on her back on the white bed. On the sheets. As for why Chi-Ya didn't directly use the space ability to come back. It's just that way, and there is no rush, so Chi-Ya won't waste his thoughts at will. I have been using Nen all day today, and Chi-Ya's Nen Chi is now less than 2 levels. If something happens suddenly when you come back here and you need to fight with your thoughts, then it won't be fun. Chi-Ya never wanted to put herself in crisis. What are you resting for? Get up, and I will play a dragon's battle with my mother. As soon as Chi-Ya lay down, she was picked up by Menchi. Yep, this guy Menchi is there too. This guy didn't go back to her own room at all, and followed her on the grounds that she wanted to get back her 2 bottles of wine. Let me tell you. What time is it? You are alone in the same room, so you are not afraid of other people's gossip. Chi-Ya, who was picked up, was very helpless. It's just you, a brat, and a widow. Menchi glanced at Chi-Ya disdainfully upon hearing this. Smelly girl, considering your real age, I can be your 19th brother. Tell me. What did you do after we parted in the Wetmela wetland last time? Menchi jumped up, sat cross-legged on the sheet, and pressed his hands on his thighs, carelessly. With burning eyes he stared at Chi-Ya and said. Why do you ask this? Chi-Ya yawned lazily and said sleepily. Although Chi-Ya's mental strength is enough for Chi-Ya to stay up late for several days in a row, but once he feels sleepy, he really can't stand it. Hey, I just want to know how my little brother is doing recently. Menchi laughed. Who is your little brother, and, just for this? Chi-Ya feels a bit pained. Okay, after I've said that, you can go back to sleep. Yawning again, Chi-Ya rubbed her eyes and said helplessly. Yeah, tell me. Menchi nodded vigorously, then opened a bottle of sake, took a sip directly into the bottle, and looked at Chi-Ya expectantly. This guy seems to be underage, so he drinks alcohol. After leaving the wetland, I came back. Chi-Ya yawned and began to talk. But Menchi on the opposite side listened attentively at this time. Chi-Ya saw that serious look for the first time. As if what she experienced was very important to her. That's exactly what it was, omitting the sake she drank now and then. In other words, sake seems to be used for drinking, but Menchi blows it directly. How should I say it? Bold enough. No, the alcohol content of this kind of wine is not high. On the contrary, the alcohol content is very low, just a little bit higher than that of wine. Chi-Ya talked about his experience, while Menchi listened carefully, drinking sake from time to time, and the time passed little by little. Unknowingly, both of them fell on the bed. Well, one is sleepy and the other is gone. He passed out after 2 bottles of sake, and this guy Menchi's drinking capacity is a bit too much to hurt. The next morning, he slowly woke up from his deep sleep. Chi-Ya was suffocated. In her sleep, Chi-Ya seemed to be hugged by a soft teddy bear, and she couldn't break free at all. Even her face was pressed against her chest by the teddy bear, and she had difficulty breathing. After waking up, John was stunned. There are no teddy bears, it's all caused by Menchi. This guy didn't know when he hugged Chi-Ya in his arms, and he still restrained Chi-Ya as tightly as an octopus. The smell of wine is so strong. Chi-Ya, who woke up, frowned slightly, and then. Get up, idiot Menchi. Chi-Ya flipped the table. Menchi was thrown flying by Chi-Ya, and landed on the floor in an arc. It hurts. Just like that, Menchi woke up directly from the pain, sat on the floor and gently rubbed his buttocks. His face was dazed, as if he hadn't figured out the situation yet. However, the moment she turned her gaze to Chi-Ya, Menchi immediately woke up. Chi-Ya. Why are you in my room? Menchi suddenly stood up from the ground, pointed at Chi-Ya and asked. The crossroads are flying wildly on Chi-Ya's forehead. Chi-Ya's head is full of black lines. Look clearly, whose room is this here? Raising his head slowly, Chi-Ya growled at Menchi. I'm sorry, I'm leaving right away. This roar directly awakened Menchi's memory of last night. Menchi smiled awkwardly, apologized, and then quickly left the room. The door was closed heavily. Chi-Ya took a deep breath and sat down on the bed. Should he belong to the manipulator? This guy has a lot of nerves. With a helpless sigh, Chi-Ya was speechless about Menchi's character. However, soon, Chi-Ya put this matter behind her. After washing up, Chi-Ya asked the hotel waiter to deliver a Chinese meal. After quickly eliminating the breakfast, Chi-Ya took out one of the lava cores in the system space. System. How do you refine this thing? Host. Hold it in the palm of your hand, wrap it with thought energy and refine it directly. Is that so? Of course, the host can also use 10 strengthening points to let the system refine it. The difference between the two is that the refining by the host takes a long time, while the refining by the system can be completed within a few minutes. How long will it take me to refine it myself? One day, one night. Chi-Ya. System. Use dry strengthening points to refine this Rangan heart. Understood. The system responded and was about to start. However, Chi-Ya suddenly thought of something and quickly stopped the system. System. Will this refinement explode with a powerful aura like the enhancement? Chi-Ya is really afraid that it will explode like it did during the enhancement, destroying the room again. Don't worry, host, no. Refining the lava core will only change the host's physique and increase the host's affinity for the fire element attribute. That's right. Then I can rest assured. The system. Let's refine it. There was no response, and the system started directly. Chi-Ya could feel an invisible force enveloping him. Then the ruby crystal in the palm of his hand melted little by little, and his body changed slightly. A scorching sensation appeared quickly. Chi-Ya felt as if he was being burned by a fire. But it didn't rush to the slightest pain, but it was extremely gentle. Chi-Ya can feel that his body seems to be resistant to flames, just like his resistance to points before. Even if he puts his hands in the fire now, even if you don't turn on elementalization, you won't be burned. Host, may I ask, do you want to continue refining the lava core? The system's voice sounded again. Huh. Can the lava core be refined repeatedly? Chi-Ya was slightly taken aback. Yes, but the effect will gradually diminish. The host's physique at this time can probably refine 10 lava hearts. So that's how it is. One Piece made my body have this kind of change, so what will happen to the refining field? Perhaps, if I fight Phaeton from Phantom Troop again, and that guy's unique move is released, even if I don't use elementalization, I won't be burned. System. Continue to strengthen. Why are you back again? On the plain, in a tent, Crook was observing a strange-looking flower in the tent, and looked back at Chi-Ya who appeared in the tent at some time, wondering. Have Jin and old Netero come back yet? Chi-Ya didn't answer, but asked a rhetorical question. No, it's been a day and a night, and there is no news. I am afraid that something was discovered in the ruins, and it was delayed. Mentioning this, Crook's face became resentful again. If these two guys had come out of the ruins, she wouldn't have needed to hire Chi-Ya at her own expense yesterday. Don't look at me like that. Yesterday's deal was yours, I didn't force you. Being stared at by Crook's resentful eyes again, Chi-Ya became resistant, and she got rid of it very freely. He waved his hand, as if he had nothing to do with me. Okay, I see. By the way, what's the matter with you coming back here again? Crook heard the words, withdrew his grievances, and asked again. The situation here has been brought under control. The tech army and the hunters have made 2 huge cracks on the edge of the plain, and the flowing magma has entered the cracks. Without the existence of lava titans, the flow speed of magmas is very normal. The ferocious trend of yesterday simply won't happen again. It's nothing. I'm very interested in the tree in the ruins, and I want to go back and have a look. That's right, that's exactly what Chi-Ya came back here for. In the past, Chi-Ya thought that after killing the monsters, he would go back to the ruins to study the patron saint of the ruins after taking a rest. When waking up in the morning, Chi-Ya did not use the 1000-year stone milk to exercise his body, but first refined the lava core for this reason. Possessing an affinity for flames, this has a very important effect on Chi-Ya who has turned into a sea of fire and a sea of magma this time when Chi-Ya returns. Since he was going back to study the towering tree, he naturally had to stay inside for a while. Staying in the magma sea for a long time, even if Chi-Ya has elementalization, is a very difficult challenge for Chi-Ya. After all, the circle can't keep turning on the elementalization, and the consumption of air conditioning like that is too huge. And having resistance to flames is the best choice for Chi-Ya. Moreover, Chi-Ya is also very curious about what happened in the ruins. They were able to keep Jin and Netero in the sea of fire for more than a day and a night. Crook's eyes lit up when he heard Chi-Ya's purpose, and then he frowned slightly. The inside is full of magma now, are you sure to go in? Crook was very puzzled. The exit of the ruins, the Grand Canyon, is now covered by magma, and there is no way in. In this situation, Chi-Ya actually asked how to get in. Of course I have my own way. Chi-Ya said with a faint smile, and immediately he offered to leave. Okay, since Jin and the others are not here, then I should go too, so that's it. After speaking, Chi-Ya was about to leave. This time, Crook was not happy. Hey, brat, is it boring to chat with a beautiful woman like me? I'm going to leave in such a hurry. Crook shouted with a look of displeasure. Ah, I'm in a hurry. Chi-Ya was slightly taken aback when he heard this, and then raised his eyebrows and said. Heck. With these words, Crook's violent temper was about to be irritated. You guys actually admitted it. Okay, let's not talk about it, since you have the ability to go in, then take me one. I am also very interested in that big tree. The corners of his eyes twitched, and Crook directly stated his purpose. Don't you need to manage the situation here? Chi-Ya heard the words, looked at the situation outside, and said back. He doesn't mind bringing Crook in and having a few exchanges with him. Although he hasn't become friends yet, Chi-Ya has a good sense of Crook, but don't worry about things here. The country's highest military commander is here. I, a hunter from the Hunter Association, shouldn't interfere too much. Even if you don't come, I will go back to Salia City for repairs. Crook waved his hand, it doesn't matter. The task given by Netero is to let her control the scene. Now that the scene is under control, the army of the Taika Kingdom has also come, so let them take over. She doesn't want to waste too much time here. It was originally a matter of this country. Okay, follow if you want. Chi-Ya pondered for a moment and agreed. Well, I'll make some arrangements, and I'll be leaving right away. Crook nodded, and then left here. A few minutes later, Luke returned here. Okay, let's go. Okay. The two came to the edge of the crack. Looking at the slowly flowing red-black magma on the opposite side of the crack, Crook looked over. How are you going to get in? Just go in like this. Hearing this, Chi-Ya said with a dry smile on the corner of her mouth. Then, he jumped up, directly crossed the crack, and landed on the magma. Hey, you. Hey. Seeing Chi-Ya's reckless behavior, Crook was shocked and shouted directly, but she swallowed the rest of the words. Seeing Chi-Ya standing on the magma without any problems, Crook swallowed hard. How did this kid do it? Okay, come here, I'll follow you. Chi-Ya stretched out his hands and said to Crook. Crook frowned slightly upon hearing this. She naturally saw what Chi-Ya meant, and it was nothing more than letting her jump over, and he carried himself into the ruins. However, she had never been hugged by a man before, which made her hesitate. However, this hesitation quickly disappeared. Just a little fart child, what are you afraid of? Crook didn't hesitate anymore, and just jumped over. However, Crook didn't land on Chi-Ya's hands, but jumped onto Chi-Ya's back, and put his hands around Chi-Ya's neck. Ah! Chi-Ya was stunned, holding Klook with both hands. What are you doing? Okay, that's it, let's go. Crook gave Chi-Ya a sideways look, and said. Chi-Ya also pouted, without saying anything. The whole person turned into an afterimage, and quickly rushed towards the canyon at the exit of the ruins. On the other side, in the center of the ruins, on the towering tree, Netero and the others were standing on the branches with their eyes closed, motionless, and they didn't know what they were doing. If you can open their eyelids, you can find that the eyeballs under their eyelids are rotating irregularly at this time. Netero and others seem to be dreaming at this time. Hey, Chi-Ya, how did you do it? In the ruins, on the magma sea, an afterimage quickly passed by. Crook on Chi-Ya's back looked at the magma sea under his feet, and asked curiously. Chi-Ya's feet were not burned by the magma at all when they stepped on the magma, and they didn't sink in, as if they stepped on the sand on the beach. This made her very curious. If it wasn't for the scorching temperature on the magma and the airwaves hitting her all the time, she would have thought that the magma had solidified, but it hadn't changed color due to other strange reasons. Do you want to know? Chi-Ya smiled lightly upon hearing this. Yeah. Crook said frankly. This ability, she has never heard of, never seen. Chengwi 100 million monks. Chi-Ya grinned and threw out a sentence. Hey. One question is even stronger. What a money grubber. Crook's eyelids twitched suddenly. It was the first time he saw Chi-Ya like this, and he lost his eyes. If you want information from me, it's not wrong for me to charge some information fees. Chi-Ya rolled his eyes and said. The heart of lava is a treasure for anyone. If you, Crook, ask me about the heart of lava, it is normal for me to charge information fees. Information? That's right, but if you're so stingy, no girls will like you in the future. As soon as the words came out, Crook also thought of this. Nodded in agreement, but then said dissatisfied. I don't need you to worry about that. Chi-Ya said with a faint smile. Forget. You're very lucky, you've already got old bulls eyeing you. Crook thought of Menchi, couldn't help curling his lips, and said. Menchi, that guy does seem to have this kind of thought, but I haven't thought about it for the time being, and I don't want to see how old I am. You also know your age. Children should be the cutest period. You are not cute at all. Thank you for the compliment. I didn't praise you. Chatting nonsense while driving, the distance between the two of them in the towering giant tree was getting closer. Half an hour later, the two finally stepped into the range of the towering giant tree. However, as soon as he stepped into this range, Chi-Ya's body flashed a green light, and Chi-Ya's complexion changed suddenly, and he retreated quickly. What was that just now? Chi-Ya could feel that just now, 2 seconds ago, when he stepped into the range of the towering giant tree, he seemed to have entered a very strange field. This field was full of special thoughts, which made him my spirit suddenly became confused. Fortunately, his manipulator Nen was activated independently, so he didn't fall into a coma. In this case, once Chi-Ya fell into a coma, Chi-Ya would be fine, but Crook would definitely be in big trouble. Surrounded by magma, even if Crook had the protection of mind energy, he couldn't hold it for too long. Hey, Crook, did you feel anything just now? Chi-Ya turned her head and asked Crook. However, as soon as the words fell, Chi-Ya felt that Crook's hands around her began to loosen. Crook's whole body slowly fell backwards, his open eyes were dark and out of focus. Chi-Ya's pupils shrank suddenly, and he quickly threw Crook up, and then a princess hugged him quickly to catch him. What the hell is this? Catching Crook, looking at her dazed face, her out-of-focus eyes let Chi-Ya know that Crook has lost consciousness now. Chi-Ya couldn't help but look forward, feeling in her heart a palpitation. Chi-Ya didn't know what happened to Crook. But Chi-Ya knew that this must be caused by Nen. The one just now was Nen, and that kind of Nen acts on people, making people lose consciousness. It is because I have the elimination Nen, and at the moment when the body touches this kind of Nen, I automatically activate the elimination of thoughts, so I will be fine. Crook doesn't have this ability. Forehead. Chi-Ya suddenly thought of something, and closed his eyes speechlessly. If it weren't for holding Crook with both hands now, Chi-Ya would definitely pull out one hand and hit her forehead. Isn't he removing Nen just to get rid of Nen? Just get rid of the Nen in Crook directly by yourself. Just do what you say. Chi-Ya directly launched the removal of Nen. The green light covered Crook's body, slowly eliminating the strange aura on Crook's body. The focus in Crook's eyes slowly recovered, and it recovered completely after a minute. This is me. Crook, who had recovered, had no idea what happened to him just now. After seeing himself being hugged by Princess Chi-Ya, Crook instinctively covered his chest, and then screamed. What's going on? Why did I run ahead of you? What did you do just now? You can't remember what happened just now? Chi-Ya asked with a frown, ignoring Crook's weird brain circuit. Just now. Looking at Chi-Ya's expression, Crook also knew that something must have happened just now, and he didn't mess around, and began to think and recall. Just now you were running fast with my back on your back, but as I was running, I felt a special thought rush into my mind, and then I fainted. After thinking about it for a few minutes, Crook finally recalled the situation just now. Chi-Ya nodded, and then expressed his thoughts. You mean the place in front of us is covered by this kind of Nen? Once you enter, you will be recruited. Crook frowned. So, we can't get in. Crook's face was slightly ugly. The president and the others are all inside. This kind of thing happened here. The president and the others must have had an accident. Isn't it my car? I'll just drive in. Chi-Ya's expression was serious, but his words were very casual. Keep on Nen all the time. Can you bear it? Crook disagrees with Chi-Ya's approach, but she knows that Nen consumes a lot of thought energy, so he is worried that Chi-Ya can't bear it if he keeps on Nen. Then they will be stuck in it too. Let's go back the same way first, and go back and think about countermeasures. I'm going to use my authority to hold a meeting of the 12 earthly branches and let other people think of a way together. You seem to have misunderstood me. Chi-Ya grinned and said. The next moment, a terrifying thought energy suddenly erupted from Chi-Ya's body, and the powerful thought energy directly repelled everything within a radius of 10 meters, terrifying. Crook stared at Chi-Ya in a daze, opened his small mouth slightly, and muttered to himself, what a terrifying thought. Let me tell you first, the Nen Chi consumed by Nen can't keep up with the Nen Chi I recover every moment, so you don't need to worry at all. Chi-Ya gave Shu Luke a shot of distraction. Chi-Ya's physique at this time is extremely powerful, and her strong physique has brought Chi-Ya powerful strength, strong defense power, and at the same time brought Chi-Ya strong recovery power. Whether it is the recovery of injuries or the recovery of thoughts. This guy, maybe he can really do it. Looking at Chi-Ya's confident smile, Chi-Ya's burst of terror at this time, Kruk thought blankly. We didn't have this kind of situation when we came here before, and we don't know what happened here. In the magma sea, a green light shadow flashed by, and Kruk, who was hugged by Chi-Ya, carefully inspected the surrounding situation, said softly. I don't know, but the one who uses this nen is definitely a super strong person, even I almost fell for it. Chi-Ya said with a solemn expression. Judging from the situation just now, this nen is aimed at the spiritual aspect, which can make people instantly stunned and lose consciousness. Kruk was hit just now. However, even he was tricked. One can imagine how powerful this nen is. Similarly, the person who uses this nen is definitely a super strong. A superpower who is not weaker than Netero, not weaker than Jin. You know, nen is the ability to cultivate both body and mind. Nen masters basically have very strong mental power, just like Netero. This guy's will is tougher than refined steel. Although Chi-Ya's spirit can't be compared with Netero's, but it is also extremely tenacious, but there is no chance to resist. If not for the presence of D-Nen, Chi-Ya just fell directly on the magma sea, and Kruk would also be swallowed by the magma and fall here. Facing such an opponent, when Kruk proposed to return to the original place, Chi-Ya was ready to agree for a moment, but this idea was erased by Chi-Ya. Because, Chi-Ya really wants to see what kind of strong man has this ability. With the exception of Nen, I am not afraid of being affected. If you have space ability, you can retreat directly if you can't beat it. At the same time, Chi-Ya also has plans to find Jin. After all, although Jin is not a friend, he is also in trouble. Let's be careful. If we really meet the person who released Nen, we will avoid him directly, don't confront him, and stay in the ruins for 2 hours. If we can't find it, we will go back, Kruk said worriedly. Her current thinking is that if the president can be found, then it is best, if not, then go back immediately to rescue the soldiers. If you encounter the powerful Nen user just now, retreat immediately and cannot face up. I know, I'm not that stupid, I will retreat if I can't do anything. Chi-Ya nodded and said. Hurry up, I'm going to speed up. Huh? Kruk was taken aback for a moment, and the next moment, she shouted, wow, don't be so fast. Dim blue and grass green, the two colors are entangled with each other, flowing rapidly in the magma sea. Startled by Chi-Ya's sudden acceleration, Kruk almost flew out. Fortunately, she reacted in time and grabbed Chi-Ya's clothes tightly. However, despite this, Kruk is still not well at this time, and there are lightning flashes on his body from time to time. I said, your speed just now is fine. Why are you still in this state? Kruk, who used Nen to defend against Chi-Ya's lightning damage, looked at Chi-Ya's side face with eyelids twitching. Although the thunder and lightning in Chi-Ya's super speed state is under control, its power should not be underestimated. At least Kruk suffered some minor injuries when he couldn't reach the defense. If I want to find President Netero and Jin within 2 hours, I have to speed up. This ruin is very big. Chi-Ya explained softly, looking around quickly with her eyes. Don't stand still. Let's look for it together. Why is it so troublesome? Let's go directly to the tree in the center of the Kekeli ruins, go to the branches of that tree and look down directly to find it. Kruk rolled his eyes and said contemptuously. You're right. Chi-Ya agreed after being silent for a moment. Going to the top of the big tree does have the best view, and you can observe the situation of the entire ruins. With a flash of blue-green light, Chi-Ya rushed directly to where the towering tree was. Did Netero and the others explain anything to you before they entered the ruins? Chi-Ya asked Kruk curiously on the way. No, not at all. President Netero only said at the time that he and Jin would come back after going, but they didn't come back after a day and a night. In addition to the current situation, President Netero and the others must have had an accident. Kruk shook his head and said. Hearing this, Chi-Ya shook her head slightly, she was speechless. Call out. Call out. Call out. At this moment, one after another sound came, and several meters thick branches fell from the sky, and they drew towards Chi-Ya's position. Chi-Ya, who was on his way, suddenly stood upright, his body was full of thunder, and a thunder lion instantly formed on top of Chi-Ya's head, colliding with several large tree branches that hit him. Boom. Rot. There was a huge explosion sound, and a powerful impact spread. Chi-Ya was blown away by the impact, and fell heavily on the magma in the distance, splashing balls of magma. What's going on? Crook said belatedly. She was thinking about Netero just now, but unexpectedly, the lightning power on Chi-Ya's body suddenly strengthened, and she was numb from the electric shock. Before she complained to Chi-Ya, it became like this. It seems that our enemy has been identified. I really didn't expect it. I always thought that the Nen field was emitted by humans. Chi-Ya didn't answer Crook's question, but stared at the few hairs in front of him. Huge branches glowing green. The green rays of light on these branches are Nyen Chi, which comes from the same source and is exactly the same as the Nen Chi in the Nen domain they are in now. Now there is no need for Chi-Ya to find the enemy at all. Their enemy is the patron saint of the center of the Kekeli ruins. It's actually. Crook stared in shock at the huge tree branches dancing in front of him, with an expression of disbelief. She had guessed the identity of the enemy before, but she didn't think about it at all. Ah, it's this guy. It seems that this thing has a very deep secret. The corners of Chi-Ya's mouth raised slightly, and his eyes sparkled with interest. His original purpose of coming here this time was to study this big tree, and after that he was looking for Jin and Netero. He didn't expect this big tree to bring him such a surprise. In this way, Jin and Netero must be related to this big tree now. Go straight to the big tree. Chi-Ya made a decision instantly. Swish. As soon as Chi-Ya's decision was made, the huge branch dancing in front of him seemed to know Chi-Ya's mind, and quickly spurred towards Chi-Ya. Chi-Ya stomped hard, jumped back, and quickly dodged the huge tree branch that hit her. Then her eyes moved slightly, and a strange wave spread instantly. A series of transparent and invisible frames wrapped several huge branches, and several huge branches were completely bound by the invisible frames, unable to move. Then Chi-Ya turned around and quickly flashed towards the location of the towering tree. After the figures of Chi-Ya and Crook disappeared, the bound huge branches were directly squeezed and twisted into pieces. A steady stream of branches came, vowing to kill Chi-Ya and Crook, but they were easily destroyed by Chi-Ya. Chi-Ya and Crook kept approaching the towering tree. This big tree seems to be preventing us from going to his body. Although Crook was hugged by Chi-Ya, he also shot to destroy the branches that attacked the two of them. In the process of destroying these branches, she also discovered the purpose of these branches. Although these branches are huge, any one of them can destroy them, but they still appear in front of them continuously, as if they don't want her and Chi-Ya to rush to its location. Well, you see, it seems like our arrival there will do something to the beast. I'm going to speed up. Chi-Ya nodded lightly, expressing his understanding. The thunder all over his body became more and more turbulent, and the giant thunder tigers condensed into shape, and were blasted out by Chi-Ya, opening the way in front, fighting with the attacking branches. The huge tree branch that struck couldn't get close to Chi-Ya under the obstruction of the thunder giant tiger. Without the obstruction of the tree branch, Chi-Ya's speed skyrocketed again. It took less than a minute to arrive under the towering giant tree. Chi-Ya jumped up quickly, jumped upwards, and landed on one of the huge branches. The huge branches are as huge as flat ground. This time, the branches of the towering giant tree did not continue to attack. Okay, come down. Chi-Ya withdrew Shensu and put Crook down, but Chi-Ya didn't let him go, but held her hand tightly. Now it is no longer in the magma sea. Here, Crook himself can gain a foothold. However, it does not mean that Crook is immune to the Nen released by the patron saint. As soon as he landed, Crook wanted to break free from Chi-Ya's hand and run towards the edge, but he was held tightly by Chi-Ya. Chi-Ya frowned and said in dissatisfaction, "Hey, you don't want to die. Have you forgotten what's going on now?" As soon as the words came out, Crook also reacted, and couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed, but her arrogant character made her unable to let go of her face. Song Neng turned his head to ignore Chi-Ya's scolding. "Don't let go," Chi-Ya told Crook, and Chi-Ya pulled her towards the edge of the tree trunk. When they came to the edge, the two looked down. At this time, the magma below has submerged the bottom of the patron saint of the Cocoa ruins, but it did not burn. After all, it is an old monster that has existed for thousands of years. It is not surprising what kind of situation will happen. Looking at the incredible scene below, Chi-Ya's face did not change, and said lightly, "Now, first look for Jin and Netero. Let's go to a higher place," Chi-Ya reminded. "Yeah." Crook heard the words and nodded slightly to express his understanding. Their top priority now is to find President Netero and Jin and the four of them, meet with a few of them, and then deal with the towering giant tree. The two immediately jumped up and rushed towards the top. The city of Saria where Chi-Ya lives has an area of 1,000 square kilometers and is the patron saint of the Cocoa Ruins. Its size is so large that it is almost one-third of the city of Salia, and its height is also 3,000 meters high. It is entrenched in the center of the entire ruins and is magnificent. The tree trunk extending from its body is also extremely huge, falling squarely like a flat ground. Chi-Ya and the two quickly jumped over tree trunks one after another, and leapt upwards. When it reached a height of more than 1,000 meters, the mutation happened suddenly. The dense leaves descended from the sky like a winding dragon, sweeping towards Chi-Ya with a flickering cold light. It was enough to be intimidating at first glance. The flickering cold light made Crook's hairs stand on end in midair, and the thought energy all over her body surged instantly, forming the strongest strength since she became a nen. Being in midair, even Chi-Ya couldn't dodge it for a short time. Although it could be directly elementalized, Chi-Ya did not do so. Once elementalized, it means that the contact between Chi-Ya and Crook has disappeared. Chi-Ya is fine, but Crook is dead. Without Chi-Ya's nen shroud, Crook would definitely be shrouded by the nen emanating from this giant tree and lose consciousness on the spot. Crook, who was unconscious, would definitely not be able to survive this overwhelming attack. However, even without using elementalization, Chi-Ya still has two abilities that can block this seemingly terrifying attack. The special nen space and enhancer can both block it. The space barrier of the trait system, Chi-Ya can create a space barrier that surrounds the two of them, blocking the attack. You can also use the enhancer mind energy to release an aura that can destroy these leaves. Choose one of the two. Chi-Ya directly chose to use enhancer nen to destroy the attack in front of him. The terrifying enhancer's aura instantly exploded and soared into the sky. The enhancer's Nian Chi, even if it doesn't attack, has a strong attack power. The moment the seemingly terrifying winding dragon hits down, it is directly crushed to pieces by the enhancer's aura. However, if this is the case, the winding dragon is still rushing down, as if it will not stop until Chi-Ya is wiped out. Seeing this, Chi-Ya's eyes flashed brightly, and the enhancer energy on his body directly turned into a giant dragon under Chi-Ya's control, biting and biting towards the winding dragon. Two giant dragons began to writhe, bite and wreak havoc in midair. Such a powerful nen, so amazing. This kind of special aggressiveness, this is enhancer's nen. Chi-Ya, how many kinds of nen have you cultivated? At this time, the panic on Crook's face has disappeared, replaced by one who dare not confidence. She has seen Chi-Ya use 4 kinds of nen by now. Except for nen, which she couldn't see, she could see all the other 3. Trait space, conjurer's thunder, and now enhancer. Chi-Ya has actually cultivated the nen of these 3 different systems to an extremely terrifying level. For a moment, Crook looked at Chi-Ya as if he was looking at a monster. This made Chi-Ya extremely upset. The corner of Chi-Ya's mouth twitched, and said unhappily, "Don't look at me like that, I'm not a monster." "Ah, I'm sorry. Seeing this, Crook immediately came back to his senses, and then apologized embarrassingly. "Okay, let's go. While the attack is blocked, let's throw it up quickly. They've all come up here, and this bastard even tried to stop us. There must be some hidden secrets up there. I'm getting more and more interested in this tree." Chi-Ya nodded slightly, accepting the apology, then narrowed his eyes slightly. Looking up, he said with a smile, "Okay." The two set off again and jumped upwards. At the same time, several hundred meters above the two of them, on a huge branch, the 4 of them were still standing calmly, with their eyes closed and breathing evenly. The branches of the 4 were tightly wrapped around their bodies at this time, almost completely sealing the 4 of them. It's really annoying. It seems that what happened above is very important. It's a stalker. On the huge branch, Chi-Ya, which was driving at high speed, flashed all the way holding Crook, flashing upwards almost in a straight line. Behind the 2, 3 winding dragons composed of cold light and green leaves pursued closely. Although Chi-Ya can't catch up, but Chi-Ya can't get rid of it either. No, another one struck overhead. The advantage of the home game is strong. Every 10 seconds, a winding dragon will appear above Chi-Ya's head again, charging towards Chi-Ya. By now, the pigs had destroyed one without end. This made Chi-Ya a little impatient, and stopped entangled with these meandering dragons, turned on the super speed, and flashed upwards at the fastest speed while holding Crook. Anyway, these giant dragons can't catch up with him, so go up to see if he can find Jin and the others, and let them help out together. If it doesn't work, Then you can only use the space ability to retreat. Playing at home is too bad for him. Soon, Chi-Ya boarded a branch again. The moment Chi-Ya climbed onto this branch, Chi-Ya's eyes swept over habitually, and the next moment, Chi-Ya's eyes stopped and did not retract as before. The body also stopped, did not continue to jump up like above, but quickly flashed towards the center of the branch. In Chi-Ya's field of vision, the 4 roads are surrounded by small branches, and the figure with only the head is standing quietly. These 4 are none other than Kim and Netero. President Crook also noticed and exclaimed, "TCH, have they even been tricked? It's terrifying." Chi-Ya murmured with a bad complexion and clenched the corners of her mouth. He could tell at a glance that the 4 of Netero were also hit by this tree, and Nen lost consciousness. Chi-Ya didn't expect that both Jin and Netero would be recruited. This refreshed Chi-Ya's knowledge of the tree again. Fear. This is Chi-Ya's current impression of the tree. The world's strongest ninjas, the world's top 5 ninjas are all planted on this tree. Although I don't know what the tree wants to do by wrapping up a few people in such a way, it is definitely not a good thing. The next moment, Chi-Ya's speed increased sharply again, and the whole person flashed past the 4 of them. Comparable. The faint blue lightning flashed, a series of tearing sounds sounded, and the branches wrapped around the 4 of them were directly torn by Chi-Ya. The 4 people who lost consciousness slowly fell to the ground. The blue-green light came again, and Chi-Ya quickly took over the 4 of them and pulled them together. As several people were liberated by Chi-Ya, the branches shook violently, and endless leaves fell from the top of Chi-Ya's head again, gathering into more than a dozen giant dragons, staring at Chi-Ya and others, as if the next moment will sweep down in general. Crook, who felt this will, trembled all over his body, and his face was extremely gloomy. Crook, come down, pull them over, hold their hand with one hand, we should withdraw. Chi-Ya squatted down, and whispered to Crook, letting Crook's hand Peng Yinda and Potter Bai or 212 earthly branches. While speaking, Chi-Ya took the hands of Netero and Jin. I see. Crook replied in a low voice. The current situation is very dangerous, she is very clear. This malice and killing intent more clearly confirmed that the tree they were in was their enemy. Damn human beings, if the old man didn't want to restrain them, how could I let you come up here? The towering tree shook violently, and an old and angry voice rang in the ears of Chi-Ya and Crook. Old and immortal as a thief. You, who have lived for more than 1,000 years, seem to have become a thief. You seem to want to do something to them. Moreover, this will is well hidden. With this level of killing intent and malice, the name of the patron saint is useless. Chi-Ya raised the corner of his mouth slightly and shouted loudly. When watching this giant tree destroy the lava protection ruins that people fell from the sky before, Chi-Ya really regarded this tree as the patron saint of the Cocoa ruins. But now, Chi-Ya doesn't believe it at all. Even Chi-Ya, feeling this top-down malice, trembled all over at this moment. He had never felt this level of malice, and his body was beyond control. Will an existence with this level of malice and killing intent be a civilization, a patron saint of ruins? You are King kidding me. It is estimated that the destruction of the 2 civilizations established here is not only related to the volcanic eruption, but also related to this big tree. Ants, since you've arrived here, let's become the nourishment of this old man with them. Chi-Ya's words seemed to anger it, and the winding dragon that was eyeing Chi-Ya's head rushed down quickly, with a fierce killing spree. Meaning. Sorry, I don't want to stay here, and I don't want to be your nourishment either. Of course, you can't get them either. Facing the almost unsolvable attack, Chi-Ya was not afraid at all, but a faint mockery appeared on his face. Boom. Dozens of winding dragons fell at the same time, a huge explosion sound was transmitted, and gunpowder smoke quickly spread. The scene where the gunpowder smoke dissipated slowly after a long time was not what the guardian god of the Cocoa ruins wanted to see. In the deep pit, there was no figure, not even a trace of blood. This let the guardian god know that the prey he had planned for a long time had escaped. Roar. An earth-shattering roar spread throughout the ruins, the earth shook, and the volcano erupted. Great changes have taken place in the ruins again. On the other side, in Salia City, Chi-Ya was staying in the hotel room. A white light flashed, and 6 people appeared in mid-air out of thin air. The next moment, Chi-Ya fell first and hit the white bed. Crook's figure fell from Chi-Ya's head and hit Chi-Ya's body heavily, and there was an exclamation. Afterwards, the 4 of them also fell down directly, hitting their sides. The weight of the 6 people directly pressed the brand new bed to Yuan Ming. Woo, woo, Crook, get up quickly. Chi-ya, who was being pressed down by Crook, struggled to speak. Ah, I'm sorry, I'll get up right away, Crook said with a red face. That level of malice and killing intent is really terrifying, much scarier than that of old father and grandpa. The malice released by the guardian god of the Cocoa Ruins just now has made Chi-ya shudder until now. That feeling is like being in an abyss, unfathomable. Chi-ya can't even imagine what kind of existence it is, actually has this kind of malice. At least, the killing intent and malice he felt from his father Silva and grandpa Geno before was far from being comparable to the guardian god in the ruins of Cocoa. One must know that Father Silva and Grandfather Geno have been killers for decades, and their murderous intent and viciousness are almost unmatched by anyone. Chi-ya is sure that no one can compare with the two heads of the Zoldyck family in this respect, except for the future king and guard of Chimera Ants. Well, except for the great-grandfather, who is also from the enemy family after all. However, from the perspective of Chi-ya, who has experienced the will initiation this time, the murderous intent on the father and grandfather is just like pediatrics, and there is no comparison at all. It's no wonder that even Crook, who is a member of the 12 earthly branches, began to tremble after feeling the killing intent. Where did that monster come from? Even after leaving there and returning to Salia City, Crook still couldn't forget that feeling, and his body was still trembling slightly. I don't know, but maybe Jin and the others will know. Chi-ya shook his head, and then looked at the four of Jin who were lying on the ground in disarray. Even after leaving the Kekeli ruins, the four still haven't woken up enough to see the horror of Nen, the guardian god of the Kekeli ruins. If it wasn't for Chi-ya's passing this time, and his space ability, it is estimated that these naughty people standing at the top of the world might have lost their lives so silently. Slowly squatting down, Chi-ya's hands emitted a green light, covering the four of them. Following the mobilization of D-Nen, streaks of black gas emerged from their bodies. The next moment, the four of them opened their eyes at the same time and jumped up from the ground. Damn bastard, you dare to lie to me. The other three people are all right, they all looked vigilant after waking up, but Yinda, who was poaching Hunter, was extremely excited, his eyes were red, and he yelled angrily standing, cold air surged all over his body. It seems that a powerful trick is about to erupt. When Chi-ya saw this, the corners of his eyes twitched slightly, and then he dodged over, directly pressing him to the floor. If you let him mess around, Chi-ya will have to change another room. Yinda, who was pressed to the ground, wanted to resist immediately, and the thoughts in his body became more and more violent. Fortunately, Netero, who woke up, spoke in time. Yinda, calm down. With just a simple sentence, Yinda calmed down, and his red eyes recovered. President? Where are we? Yinda asked blankly. Is that so? After listening to Crook's narration, Netero nodded slowly, understanding the current situation. Afterwards, his eyes turned to Chi-ya. Chi-ya Zoldyck, thank you very much this time. Without you, we might have capsized this time. If there is anything we can come to this old man in the future. Netero thanked me slightly, with a sincere tone. I was really sorry just now. Thank you this time. If you need help with anything, you can come to me. Yinda thanked me blankly, with an embarrassed look on his face. Chi-ya Zoldyck, I owe you a favor. In the future, as long as you don't violate any crimes, you can come to me. I will help you once unconditionally. Potter folded his arms and promised loudly. At the same time, he looked at Chi with more kindness. As a terrorist hunter, Potter Bai was not kind to Chi-ya when he first met Chi-ya and knew Chi-ya's identity, and even had the intention of attacking Chi-ya. After all, as a killer, Chi-ya is an existence that disrupts social order. As a terrorist hunter, it is also his duty to arrest professional killers. However, he never expected that he would get Chi-ya's help and be saved by Chi-ya. Repay every kindness, this is his way of dealing with the world. Although Chi-ya is a professional killer, it does not prevent him from being kind. At least, before he repays Chi-ya, he will not have any intention of arresting Chi-ya. Fighting geese all day long. This time I was pecked by geese. It's really shameful. Jin murmured in a low voice with a look of frustration. He has been visiting ruins all over the world for more than 10 years, and he actually capsized in the gutter of the ruins in Kekeli. This time, it was really dangerous. The few of them were killed today, and they didn't know anything about being tricked. If Chi-ya hadn't rescued them, they would really have stayed there. It's a small matter, can you tell me now, what is the situation of the guardian god of the Kekeli ruins? Chi-ya nodded slightly, accepted the thanks from several people, and then asked Dao Yu suspiciously. He is still very curious about this, how Netero and the four of them were recruited. With their strength, it should be impossible for them to be recruited. We were deceived. All of this is the result of that guy's painstaking calculations, and it started from the moment Yinda touched it. Speaking of this, Netero's face became serious, and his face full of shadows. Yinda and Potter White are the same. That guy is a creature from the Dark Continent. He came from the Dark Continent more than 2,000 years ago, took root in Koko, and supported the two civilizations of Dashu and Koko. However, these two civilizations eventually became nutrients for his growth. Jin took a deep breath, recovered from his frustration, took Netero's words, and began to talk about it. Only after this narration, Chi-Ya and Crook understood the cause and effect. Knowing the cause and effect, Chi-Ya couldn't help cursing inwardly. At the same time, she couldn't help feeling that ginger is still old and spicy. The patron saint of the Koko ruins can even deceive a 100-year-old fried dough stick like Netero. It is a 1,000-year-old monster that took advantage of Netero and others' trust in it. To put it simply, the guardian god of the Koko ruins from the Dark Continent came into contact with Yinda by chance, and then began to plan purposefully. Even the volcanic eruption was planned by this guardian god. After doing everything possible to establish a relationship of trust with Yinda, the guardian god of the Kekeli ruins began to plan, revealing to Yinda that the volcanoes in the Kekeli ruins will erupt once in 1,000 years, and that it is the ghost of the lava titan. And ask Yinda to bring some strong men to stop and destroy the lava titan in the volcano. In fact, these are all movements made by the guardian god himself. The purpose is to attract powerful Nen people to come over, to turn the powerful Nen people into their own nutrients. As for why there are so many Nen people entering the ruins at all times, but the patron saint remains indifferent, that's because this patron saint is already on the verge of advancing. These weak Nen have absorbed enough nutrients over the past 2,000 years, and the nutrients transformed by the weak Nen can no longer have an effect on it. It must be a strong Nen. This is the reason why he planned to use Yinda's trust in him to attract Netero and others. As for Kim, this guy was a complete surprise. It was delivered to the door on its own initiative. If it wasn't because the plan was approaching, he would have taken action against Jin alone. These are all what Netero and others saw from their memory when they were in a coma of Nen, and their consciousness was fighting the patron saint. In addition, there is another very important thing, that is, there is another monster in the volcano group at this time. A subordinate of the guardian god, a monster who followed the guardian god from the Dark Continent. A real lava titan has been staying in the highest volcano among the volcanoes. The ones that appeared before were nothing but abandoned children made by it. Although the relationship between the two parties is a superior subordinate relationship, it can be regarded as symbiotic to some extent. As for why a wood attribute monster can take a fire attribute monster as his subordinate, this is all a choice made by the strange biological chain on the Dark Continent. So, what should we do now? Chi-Ya asked curiously after listening to the stories of Netero, Jin and others. Hearing this, the four of them were silent and did not open their mouths to answer. More than a minute later, Artro spoke. This kind of existence must be eliminated and cannot be left alone. Since he can come from the Dark Continent, it means that he can walk on the land at will. He didn't succeed this time. The old man estimates that this monster will never let it go and walk out of the ruins. It will be a disaster for Tech, other countries, and the whole world. Although it is only a struggle between consciousnesses, Netero is very clearly, the strength of the patron saint is very powerful. More importantly, the patron saint is really cruel. Cultivated two civilizations, and when these two civilizations were at their peak, they did not hesitate to launch disasters, turning the two civilizations into nutrients for their own strengthening. This kind of character is vicious and vicious. He can't guarantee whether the guardian god will come out of the Koko ruins in a frenzy after he misses and attack the whole world. Indeed, personally cultivating two civilizations, and then turning them into nutrients without any mercy, this method is really chilling. Jin nodded in agreement. If we fight together, we should be able to eliminate him, but the premise is that we can resist his powerful spirit Nen. Although we were recruited because of carelessness before, if we are more cautious, we should be able to resist with our mental strength. However, it is undeniable that the spiritual ability of this old monster that has survived for thousands of years is very strong. It's very disadvantageous to resist the spirit Nen while fighting at the same time. At least half of our strength will not be able to be used, and it is impossible to eliminate it. Jin frowned. After thinking about it carefully, he spoke. Do you want reinforcements? Finally, Jin looked at Netero and asked aloud. It's about the Dark Continent. I think it's necessary to report this matter to V5 and let them make a decision. Potter Bai also spoke, but he didn't think about how to eliminate it. Guardian, but another thing is considered, that is V5. V5 is an organization composed of the 5 strongest countries and has the status of leading the world. The Hunter Association must also act according to their instructions, in order to prevent the harm from the Dark Continent, and to prevent people from having the opportunity to privately enjoy the huge benefits that the Dark Continent may bring. An agreement to block the Dark Continent was concluded 200 years ago, and the members of the organization exclusively shared the Dark Continent all information and interests. All news about the Dark Continent must be discussed and decided by V5. This is the strength of the 5 major powers in the world. Indeed, but the incident happened suddenly, and the time is not allowed. Old man, I will report this matter to V5, and observe the situation before that. Once the 2 monsters make a move, even if V5 does not communicate the decision, we must take action. Indeed, it's what we should do to prevent it before it happens. Potter nodded in agreement. Netero nodded slightly and left the room to report the information to V5. However, soon, Xian-Ti returned. Then, let's discuss now how to deal with that monster's spirit Nen. In the room, a discussion officially started. Qi Ya just said that he was able to save us because he has the ability to eliminate thoughts, so he is immune to the spirit Nen of that monster. Crook was able to follow in and didn't pass out, because she held Qi Ya's hand the whole time and was covered by Qi Ya's Nen, so she was fine. Excluding Nen is an excellent way to restrain that monster's spirit Nen, but none of us can exclude Nen, and we can't let Qi Ya always follow us and touch our bodies. Even if it's possible, Qi Ya can't be a clone. When he said this, he got a blank stare from Qi Ya. Even if it can be, what the hell, you guys are thinking about farting. Besides, is there any way for us to ignore that monster's spirit Nen and fight it with all our strength? Everyone was lost in thought and began to think about how to do it. Only Qi Ya, with an attitude of nothing to do with himself, sat on the edge of the bed with his legs crossed, watching the few people thinking boredly. Well, I have an idea here, I don't know if it will work. Crook, who was a little transparent, said after thinking for a moment. As soon as these words came out, Jin and the others looked over immediately, with scorching eyes, motioning for Crook to come up with her solution. Crook couldn't take it anymore, so he directly talked about his method. I am a plant hunter and I like plants very much, so I often go out to find some rare plants and transplant them back. The conditions for transplanting many plants are very harsh, and they will wither and wither if you don't pay attention. In order to perfectly transplant these plants, I practiced a kind of materialized Nen. Why? Storage locket. Storage lockets are perfect for storing anything regardless of the elements. In addition, the storage box can also store Nen. After putting the Nen in, the storage box will have its same Nen. I'm thinking, if I materialize a few small storage boxes and ask Qi Ya to release a portion of Nen in the small storage boxes, and then you can do it with the small storage boxes that store the Nen, is that spirit gone?